was absolutely spectacular in the back half.
Free on the top four for the...
Ready to hit the road and go exploring? Backroads is back. From Katherine in the top end to WA. From the New South Wales Riverina and Tassie's King Island to way out back. Join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Backroads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
We're gonna be kids.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The finals aspirants continue to line up to take on the Cats. St Kilda makes the trip down to Kardinia Park to tackle Geelong tonight. They're already in the 8. They can further entrench themselves with an upset victory. It'd be the Saints' second over the Cats this season if they can get it done, but their first since 1999 at this very venue. Geelong, meanwhile, has won 10 in a row, sitting atop the AFL ladder and looking to go a game clear with a victory this evening. It's a chilly night in Kardinia Park. Joel Peterson with you on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Terrific you can join us throughout Victoria, Tasmania. Then over in the west, up in the top end and wherever you're listening via the AFL app. There is news straight off the top for the Cats. We've already had 2 late changes from Quish Scott. They've swung another one. Dan Miles has been watching it all unfold at ground level. He joins us on the boundary this evening. Dan, the changes keep coming for Geelong.
Absolutely, they sure do, Joel. Good evening to you. The Cats are known as the kings of late changes, but this latest one is almost as late as they come and as big as they come too. Patrick Dangerfield is a late out for the Cats. He was doing a fitness test right up until the teams ran through the banners. He's been withdrawn in what the Cats are calling a conservative decision with a little bit of calf tightness. They're calling it low-level calf tightness, and the conservative call's been made to remove him from tonight's starting lineup. Coming in for him, Luke Dalhouse, of course. Expect to see him in the middle. He was doing a couple of warm-up runs with the midfield starting brigade as they warmed up. The other 2 laid-outs, Mark Blixarves has been managed and Jonathan Segler has been replaced in the starting 22 with Sam Menegola and Zach Tui coming in. Jonathan Segler, who made his debut for the Cats last round, he is the starting sub for Geelong. St Kilda, how boring. No late changes at all. Zach Jones is their sub in what is a glorious night for football here at Kardinia Park. Not a breath of air down on ground floor, Joel, and quite a nice evening for football. Nice to be out there, unless you're Patrick Dangerfield, of course.
Absolutely, Dan. If you can get your head around all that at home, you're doing pretty well. So the Cats have been busy as far as the late changes are concerned. Jess Webster's here to call it alongside me. It's not good news for callers, all these late changes, Jess.
Certainly not. I love a good clean book, and it's all messed up.
Have you got any white out left?
No, not really. I'm running very low. But look, it gives St Kilda a little bit of a sniff. I mean, the list of outs for Geelong: Rowan, Selwood, Blixarves and Dangerfield. They're 4 key players for them. You'd love to see them get them done, as we spoke about their record off the top. Haven't won here since 1999. Would love to see a special moment, but Geelong are just such a classy outfit, and it'll be hard to think that the Saints might get over the line tonight, but anything can happen in footy.
Absolutely, it can. The other game we'll keep you across tonight is, of course, Richmond and Port Adelaide. That's got big ramifications for this one and the fight for the top 8. Our experts are here on Grandstand AFL. Former Saints champion, Collingwood Premiership player Luke Ball. G'day, Bally.
G'day, Joel. Great to be here. Well, they do have a sniff, and they go in as the last team to have beaten this high-flying Cats team, albeit 10 weeks ago.
Yep.
In round 9. So you wouldn't imagine, I mean, a fair bit's gone under the bridge since then, a fair bit's changed since then. There'll be some new personnel, of course, but they do have a sniff, and the results to this point have fallen their way, with the Dogs just going down, and it's a fascinating night with the Tigers, the other one that's vying for that 8th spot, playing as well. So yeah, those changes will help, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Saints. Which Saints will turn up tonight? Will we get that manic pressure, that intensity? Let's hope so.
That has been the question for a long time. So Dougal Howard back into the Saints team during the week. Jared Leanett, Ryan Burns go out. The Carlton AFLW captain, fresh off a pracky match today against St Kilda. Kieran Peterson's with us. Pull up okay, Kes?
I'll let you know at half-time. The drive down doesn't always help those that have played a match of footy, but looking forward to this one.
You were here last week. Geelong were brilliant in the second half against the Dogs. What are you expecting from them tonight?
Well, hopefully a better start to the game. They were pretty ordinary in the first quarter, really flat-footed, very slow to react to what was going on. I think they gave up 4 early goals to the Dogs, and through their class and, some of the players that we've mentioned that are out tonight, probably really dragged them back into the game. So I'm expecting them to come out and be absolutely firing in the first quarter.
Who wins it?
Geelong by 4 goals.
Paulie?
Yeah, I think the Cats, hard to tip against here. Contest is the key for Geelong. They've been pretty ordinary in the last month. It's funny saying that, isn't it, for the side that sits at top of the ladder, but even Chris Scott said that. They need to dial it up around the footy.
Well, there's a bit of push and shove already between Windhager and Cam Guthrie. Big opportunity for the Saints awaits tonight. Rowan Marshall stalks around in the centre circle. The opening bounce on Grandstand AFL with Jess Webster.
Stanley rises high, but Marshall wins the first tap down. Straight down to Atkins, though. It had a fresh airy. Guthrie doing the work at ground level to Stanley, then to Parfitt. Kick around the corner, up to half forward, through the hands of Cameron. Out the back is Wood for St Kilda. He's met heavily by Zach Toohey. And going nowhere. Ball up centre half forward for Geelong. They're kicking to the players' stand.
Matt Stevic tosses it aloft. Stanley takes it out of the ruck, jams it on the boot, high inside the forward 50. Henry got rid of Battle, but gives away a free. In fact, it's in the other contest, which was between Dougal Howard and Tom Hawkins off the footy. And so Howard from fullback spears it to the back pocket for Battle. Now the overlap run comes from Webster. Handball along the boundary line to Wilkie. Just outside the defensive 50. Kick up the wing. Knocked away from Owens by Stewart. Out toward the boundary line. Zach Guthrie collects. Mitch Duncan can't keep it in. The ball over in front of the interchange gates.
Well, and already we see an intent from the Saints to play on. There was a forward handball there. So at their worst in the last couple of weeks, they've been stagnant. They've been chip around the back half, sideways, backwards. That's a good start tonight. Take the game on a bit more. Need a score.
Stanley palms it down. Atkins has a bit of a fumble. Wood comes in. He's brought to ground. Gets back up again and hand passes to Windhager, who gives it backwards to Patton. Rush kick down the line. It's a high up and under to a pack. Membry in front, fisted away by him. Spills to Ross, who hand passes to King. Unsure where to go. Hand passes inboard to Owens. He kicks to the top of the square. Sharman playing it full forward. Gathers on the bounce. Hand passes to Hill. Hemmed up against the boundary line. Kick around the corner is marked by Sinclair in space.
A nice centering ball from Brad Hill. Young Sharman there, he'll get better at that. He had a great set. He just needs to use his body a little bit better in those situations, and still he stayed involved. Brad Hill, I mean, St Kilda's 2 running machines really. Brad Hill with a lovely centering ball. And Jack Sinclair, opportunity. Not a massive goal kicker. He sneaks down every now and then, but opportunity to get them off to the perfect start.
It's just 3 goals this year. Sinclair from 35 out. No great angle to speak of. Pops it through for the dream start to St Kilda. They're on the board early. 1 straight leads Geelong, yet to score through 2.5 minutes of the opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Peterson and Luke Ball.
That was a great finish there. As you mentioned, Ball, he really composed to find the open player in the centre of the ground. Geelong won't be happy with that start. They were really, again, flat-footed, unfortunately, like they were in the first quarter last week, just allowing St Kilda with ease to play on through the middle of the ground. And when you get that overlap and run, it becomes a real challenge for the Geelong defenders to be able to press up and defend that. So St Kilda off to the dream start. It's no surprise to see Windhager going and standing next to Guthrie. He was tagging John Newcomb last week for Hawthorn and kept him relatively quiet, so no surprise to see him going to Guthrie. Couple of matchups to keep an eye on as well. I'll come back to you. I'm just keeping an eye on who is playing on Cameron and Hawkins up forward for Geelong.
And I reckon young Owens has got a job as a defensive forward on Tom Stewart at the other end.
Back in the middle. Big job for Reece Stanley, of course, against his former team, up against the Rowan Marshall, who had 30 disposals and 35 hit-outs last week, 9 clearances, 7 tackles.
Well, he's got Jonathan Segler sitting on the bench in the vest, isn't he? So this is his opportunity to really grab that number 1 ruck spot. Reece Stanley.
Absolutely it is. Hawks socket out wide. Good tackle from Long. Brought down College Asney, playing game number 150 in the hoops this evening. Little chip forward by Sinclair. Long ran onto it, fed it back. In trouble was Ross. Worked himself out of it, then turned it over. Parfitt scoots away with the footy for Geelong off half-back. Handball to Close in game 50 this afternoon to Cam Guthrie. Flares it across the back edge of the square to Menegola. Clever kick over the top. Went for O'Connor. Couldn't find him cleanly. Patton runs across and sees it out of play, and it'll be a throw in on the broadcast side of the ground. 4 minutes gone opening term, as they did last week. Geelong have conceded the opening goal of the game. It's the Saints by 6.
Mention their intensity, the Saints. Ben Long, to me, is such an important player from that point of view. He's really the barometer in terms of their attack on the footy and the man.
From the throw-in, Parfitt, hand passes backwards to Menangola, close up against the boundary line, kicks Geelong inside forward 50, clears the pack, Hawkins out the back, hand pass looking for close, Stengel in the pocket with a chance, he's tackled over the line. Good defensive work there by the Saints, by Webster, and we've got a boundary throw-in 5 metres around from the point post, Geelong into attack.
So Wilkie's gone to Cameron and Howard's gone to Hawkins, and at the other end, a really tasty matchup, De Koning versus King.
He has been taking down the big forwards for the opposition. De Koning, Hawkins out of the ruck, away to Stengel, around the body, high up and under to full forward. Henry gets upstairs, slaps it down to Atkins, to Tui, sells the candy, the shimmy, the shake, the snap and the goal. Zach Tui back into the team and doing the work on the dance floor inside forward 50. 5 minutes in, we're locked at 1 apiece. The Saints and the Cats on Saturday night footy are 1 straight each.
Just the stoppage work again. How often do we see it? Tom Hawkins in that forward 50 arc, his ability to use his body and take the ball out of the ruck. Gave young Stengel a chance there. He didn't quite hit it right. Just the contest and Zach Tui and was it Zach? Yeah, was it Jimmy Webster? Won't be wrapped with that attempted tackle. Just hung the arm out a bit and Tui was good enough to get around him and finish. He's had a terrific year, the evergreen Zach Tui. His 19th game of the year and he's showing great signs. So that's a good start, as you said, out last week, back in this week, early goal.
Back in the middle from the restart. Cam Guthrie out the back, tackled by Windhager. We'll be watching that closely. Off to Dalhouse. Tumbles a kick towards half forward. Coming out Myers. Tackled to the ground by Sinclair. Hanbury over the top of him. Ball up inside the centre square. So finals place on the line for St Kilda tonight. From the stoppage, no clear winner, and we'll do it all again.
Duncan dropping off the back of the stoppage here too as a +1 for Geelong.
Stanley gets the front spot, slapped it down to Holmes, fed it forward, knocked down. Hell goes in for the Saints. Topoed forward by Stanley. Cameron's up at centre half forward. Arcs around, spears it inside the 50. Hawkins up on the lead. He leads the competition in marks on the lead, and he's taken another one just inside the forward 50.
It's just knowing your teammates really well. Cameron just wound up in the middle of the ground. He didn't even take a second look. He knew exactly what Hawkins would be doing at that time, and there's nothing more than what a forward loves than when they wheel and go through the middle of the ground and lace the forward out. Tom Hawkins would be licking his lips at the moment.
Led the goal kicking every year since 2012 for the Cats, Tom Hawkins. He's got a challenge on his hands this year from Jeremy Cameron. He strikes it from just outside the 50, leaves it left. It's a behind all the way. The Cats lead for the first time tonight by a point after 7 minutes here on Grandstand AFL.
So Webster to bring the ball back in for St Kilda. Kick the opening goal of the game. Webster kicks long, looking for King, who had a good rise in the pack. Couldn't come down with the mark. Ball spits out to Sinclair. Hand passes backwards to Crouch. Kick around the corner is marked by Butler on centre wing. Kicks down the line to a 2-on-1 favouring Geelong. O'Connor at the bottom of the pack, caught one high by Marshall. He'll take the free kick at right half back for Geelong.
Probably didn't need to do that. There was quite a few Saints players lining up in the middle of the ground again and a little bit slow. Went to a 2-on-1 down the line. I'm not sure that'd be the right option that the St Kilda coaching staff would be after.
Rowan Marshall's green boots positively luminescent out there this evening. Kicks long down the line. Battle's got the fluoro yellow ones on, straight to him. Tracted it like a magnet. He knocked the football down. Henry ran into trouble on the wing for the Cats. Holmes is there, been ever improving Max Holmes. To Menegola, to Zach Guthrie inside the 50. Sinclair almost with one hand. Cleverly paddled it around his body to Webster. Now to Clark, hard up against the boundary line. He kicked it straight into his opposition player in Dalhouse. Ricocheted back to him. He jams it on the boot. Only as far as O'Connor. Now to Zach Guthrie. He daps it down the boundary line, all of about 9.7 metres, and Dalhouse is paid the mark, comes inboard and finds Duncan for the Cats.
Switches play across the field. Buse is marked at left half forward. Kick into the pocket. And Tui marks in a bit of space. 40 from home, close to the boundary.
Good use of the ground. It's a narrow ground. We know that. We know the Cats play it better than anyone. Obviously, their home ground. They get the train on it. ability there to access the middle really in the open side. The Saints they've really got to snap into defence quicker than that. I'm just looking at Mitch Duncan, who's really a bit of a rebirth across half back, and he's such a good distributor of the ball. I think it's Dan Butler in that situation, just daydreaming a bit. Duncan too much space, and he sets up this shot at goal.
So Zach Tui, a late inclusion for Geelong this evening, lets it fly from 45. It's across the face for a minor. So Geelong move to 1-2-8. They lead St Kilda one straight through 9 minutes of the opening term.
Saints waste no time to bring it in. Howard launches it long up the Hickey stand side to a pack. Off hands, Hanbury chases after it. Could only knock it on in the end to Long. Over the top of him was Smith. Now Holmes out the back. Underground hand pass. Had a couple to pick from. Ended up with Tui. Handball off to Smith on the left boot. High inside the 50 for the Cats. Coming across Battle. Spikes it out of play powerfully with some serious intent. He's been great across half-back this season. They've finally found a spot to nail him into, Bawley.
Yeah, they have, and it's really that Tom Stewart role, isn't it? That third tall. He's a lovely athlete. Great tank, so he's made that spot his own.
So ball tossed back in inside 50 for Geelong. There's a scrap around the footy. The umpire's letting it go. Marshall has a go for the Saints on his hands and knees. Tackled to the ground and forces a stoppage 40 metres out from Geelong's goal. They lead by 2 points halfway through this opening term. St Kilda with the first goal of the game. Geelong hit back through Tui as Stengel hand passes to Close. Gives it to Dalhouse. Tries to go back to Close with the handball. And misses him, goes over the line for a boundary throw in 20 metres around from the Cats' goal. They lead by 2.
No, dangerous, aren't they, Kez? Yeah, obviously, big focus is going to be on Hawkins and Cameron, but gee, they're dangerous at ground level this year, the Cats, inside 50.
We know Hawkins is dangerous in this situation inside the forward 50. Slapped it down to Guthrie. Holmes, handball to Smith. Lost it in the tackle from Long, not rewarded. Hacked off the ground by Battle. Outside the defensive 50. First there will be O'Connor. He has a fumble out toward the wing. Hill kept fighting for the footy. Had 3 to beat. Goes again. Knocks it on. Got it to Long, who scrambles it forward for St Kilda. They created something out of nothing thanks to Brad Hill. The opposite number 8, College Asney, was there to clean it all up. Shot it short to Stewart by hand, and he darts his kick down the line to Menegola. But Brad Hill fighting for the footy on the wing, showing some grit and determination as Menegola swings it across the defensive 50. Taken by Buse. The Cats cut it up the line now on the Hickey stand side. Smith knocks it on. He's got a support runner in Cameron who charges outside the arc. Back to Tui. Back to Cameron. Still at left half forward. Clever kick around the body. Henry stretches to mark for Geelong. He's 60 from home. Rolls around. Darts it inside the 50. On a platter for Brad Close. 20 out, directly in front.
I'd almost argue that kick wasn't meant for Brad Close. Tom Hawkins was coming streaming up the middle of the ground, and whether it was by design or by luck, I'm not too sure, but Close just managed to get some separation on his defender, and it's a great spot because if that ball goes over the back, whether it's touched by Hawkins or not, Close was there to mop it up, and here he lines up.
From Mount Gambier, playing game number 50 today, the rookie from 2020. After a premiership player at Glenelg, he's missed it to the left, and that's a bad miss from 25 out, directly in front. 1-3, the Cats, having squandered a few in this opening term. The Saints are 1 straight through 13 minutes on Grandstand AFL at Kardinia Park.
Certainly going better. 7 inside 50s to just the 1. The Saints had the first of the game, that goal to Sinclair, and hasn't got inside 50 since.
Clark from the pocket kicks Long down the outer side. There's a pack of players around the ball. Long has a go, can't go with it. Wood also in there. Holmes collects, but is run out of room over the boundary line for a throw-in. Centre wing position out of side. Geelong a lead by 3 points.
Let's get downstairs to Dan Miles on the boundary.
Joel, it's a really packed crowd here at Kardinia Park, or the 3/4 of the stadium that they have left. There's not many empty seats. It was noticeable the first goal to St Kilda, you could almost hear the singular St Kilda supporters, whereas the Cats get a goal, it's an absolute onslaught of noise.
Cats get it behind, and sometimes it's an onslaught of noise, Dan, as they go inside the 50. Holmes to Cameron, who runs into a couple. Wilkie piles in over the top, locked up at left half forward. A little bit of push and shove as they sort each other out over there. Tom Atkins was in to provide support for a star forward.
In front of the couple of bays of Saints supporters over there. Over in that right or left forward pocket.
In front of the visitors' change rooms. The long trudge over there into the coach's box as well. It is a very unfriendly setup for visiting teams down here at Kardinia Park, with the coach's box and the rooms located all the way over the other side of the ground. It's just not a friendly place to come and play. 3-point lead to the Cats, 14 gone opening term.
Throw in at half forward for Geelong. Parfitt tracks the footy at the back of the stoppage. Just taps it back to Menengola. And that kick is out of bounds on the full. Free kick going to Seb Ross at right half back for St Kilda.
Well, good thing is there's not much damage done, but the game almost entirely been played in Geelong's front half at the moment. It's going to be a real challenge strategically for this Saints team. The temptation is for all forwards to creep up the ground because of Geelong's David forward line, but Geelong just looks so set behind the ball.
So Ross chips short to Crouch, who had his arms chopped. Free kick from right half back. Loads up and kicks long down the line. It's off hands. Out the back, Kolodjasny. Now De Koning has a go. Hand passes to Smith. Hand passes to Close. Hand passes to Menengola. Streaming through the centre of Kardinia Park. Kicks to full forward where Hawkins is waiting. Juggles the mark and clunks it 20 metres out. Quick to play on. Right foot snap around the corner. And it's another to Geelong. 2-3-15 leads St Kilda, 1 straight 6 through 15 and a half of the opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Luke Ball and Karen Peterson.
It's getting a bit messy, isn't it, for St Kilda through the middle of the ground at the moment. Bally, looking at the clearance numbers, I think it's 8-3. They're just getting on top around the middle, which is providing their forwards the best opportunity. And I don't know about you, Bally, but I wouldn't like to be wrestling Tom Hawkins for 20 out from directly in front of goal. He's just too big, too strong. So the St Kilda defenders have got every right to look at their midfielders right now and go, if we keep having this sort of delivery from the midfield, we're going to get absolutely destroyed as defenders tonight. They're going to have to do a much better job around the contest and getting on top in the clearances.
I just think they need to hold. They need to back their mids in. They need to hold 6 forwards. There's no point in leaving Tom Stewart or Mitch Duncan off the back of the clear or off the back of the stoppages are loose in defence. That's not going to work for them. They might as well try and win the game and score. At the moment, they can't get the ball in their front half.
Couple in a row for the Cats, and they will get an opportunity here. Brad Crouch wins a free kick for St Kilda, pokes it forward to Higgins, who's quickly around to play on and send it inside the 50 straight to Reece Stanley. And he gets a stare from Tim Membry.
Yeah, it's not the way to go. We've seen Geelong use the ground really well and work the angles. St Kilda just went A1 then and straight down the middle of the ground. It's just not going to work for them.
Yeah, Stanley whacks it straight up the same freeway. It's knocked down straight to Butler, to Crouch. Low kick inside the 50 this time. Similar result. Target was Membry. He slipped over and Kolodjasny intercepts for the Cats.
Yeah, well, when they do get a one-on-one contest, that has to come to ground at least. I know Membry slipped over there, but it just takes all the sting out of the game when you allow an intercept mark like that. So they have to bring the ball to ground, give their ground level players a chance.
Kolodjasny swings it back to O'Connor, who chips out wide and finds Buse at right half back. Kicks long down the broadcast wing. Marshall in good position here for the Saints. Got hands to it. Ball spills to ground. Menengola close against the boundary line. Hacks a kick down the line. It's got to be picked off by Wilkie, who marks defensive side of the wing.
Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Luke Ball, Karen Peterson, your experts. Dan Miles on the boundary. Wilkie short to battle. Off to Hunter Clark, who slams it down the wing. A wobbling kick. Couldn't be marked by King. He went to ground, picked it up and got taken high. So Max King's got it at left half forward. 70 metres out from the Saints goal. He's got Higgins on if he can get it to him. Went in that direction and sliced it off the outside of the boot straight to Parfitt for the Cats. And here go Geelong up the middle. Buse collects, handball to Zach Guthrie, the run of Myers, handball a bit too hot for him. Saints back in possession through Hanbury, he's almost turned it over and now has. Myers in to knock it to Tui. Tui to Parfitt through the centre of the ground. Clever kick outside of the boot, over the top to Close. It opens up for Myers, goes inside the 50, Stengel marks on his chest. 25 out. They only need a moment, the Cats. Stengel wheels around and finishes beautifully. That is Cats footy at its very crispest. And Geelong have got 3 in a row and 3 on the board to lead by 15 points. 3-3-21 to St Kilda, 1 straight 6 through 18 minutes of the opening term.
Well, it's been a trademark of the season, this new Geelong team. I suppose you'd say what a pickup he's been, but they're all involved in. They're high half forward, smaller players' ability to get up the ground and then just turn around and charge back when they know they've won the footy. It was a lovely little kick from Parfitt, wasn't it? Into space, nice bit of vision off the side of his foot, and then once they saw that they'd secured the footy, it was off to the races. And when they're charging back to goal like that, goal side, it's pretty hard to stop. So he continues on his merry way. Tyson Stengel absolutely in the All-Australian conversation.
Richmond with the first, the Adelaide Oval. They lead the Power by 6 through 3 minutes.
From the middle, Stanley just rips it out of the ruck, sends a high one inside 50, bounces in front of Hawkins. Umpires whistle, free kick Geelong. Going to Hawkins for a hold.
We're 12-4 inside 50s now. Just again, Geelong getting on top in the middle there, and same result. Someone wrestling Tom Hawkins, and if he's not going to mark it, you're going to give away a free kick, unfortunately, for... Must have been Howard there, is it? Might have been Wilkie.
So giving the Saints headaches already, Tom Hawkins. 40 metres out, directly in front. Kick is on its way. And Geelong are just warming up here at Kardinia Park. Hawkins has 2. They move to 4-3-27, lead St Kilda 1 straight 6 as we tick into time on to the opening term.
Well, it was Reece Stanley then. They're finding it hard enough in general play, the Saints. The last thing they need is Reece Stanley grabbing the ball out of the ruck and pumping it forward. So Rowan Marshall, the message has got to get out. You've got to be better than that, mate. You've got to give us a chance at ground level in these centre clearances, which is an area that Geelong, as we said before the start of the game, they've actually been a little bit down in over the last month. So, yeah, ominous signs, really ominous signs here for the Saints. They need their leaders in around the centre. They need to get their hands on the footy here and just even control it. They haven't had their hands on the footy. What is it? 30 more possessions already, the Cats. So it's a dominant start to this one.
Thoughts of Luke Ball alongside Kieran Peterson on Grandstand AFL. Marshall, Stanley just reaches over the top of him, knocks it down. Ross handball out to Steele, who toe pokes it to the wing. A spinning ball going around like a top. Brad Hill shoots in to pick it up. Sinclair knocks it on to Windhager. His handball went looking for Steele. Owens got run down by Zach Guthrie and Stewart out toward the boundary line. Higgins tries to force it forward. Handball over the top to Butler. Dragged down by Atkins. Got it away by hand toward Ross. He went off the ground inside the forward 50. De Koning stood in the way. Handball to Stewart. Handball to Atkins in close confines at right half back. Close kick low down the wing. Off an advantage here to the Cats. Stengel's racing away with it. Off to Cam Guthrie, who blasts it inside the 50. And Membry's been chucked behind the footy, which is the break in case of emergency glass for Brett Ratton. And he outlets to Marshall as the Saints build it forward.
Here's kick looking for Geelong. Colin Jasny at the back, nearly completed the mark. And passes to Stanley, who chips to Duncan. From centre half back, he gives it to Tui, unsure where to go. Hand passes backwards to Atkins, who then gives it to Cameron. It close to the centre circles. Kick towards half forwards. Rising high is Henry. Wants to move it on quickly. Has a runner in the pocket. It's Jeremy Cameron. You can't give Cameron much room to move inside 50. He's marked 30 metres out, 45-degree angle to the left.
I reckon that was Mason Wood's direct opponent, or at least he was the closest St Kilda defender to Cameron, and he just let him go. You said ominous signs before, Bally, but if they're just going to allow Jeremy Cameron to stream past it into 50 unopposed, it's going to be a very long night for St Kilda.
So Hawkins already has 2 this quarter. Cameron wants to get in on the party, but he misses that to the near side for a minor. Geelong 4-4-28, St Kilda 1 straight 6 through 23 minutes of the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Sinclair brings it into Patton. And Patton's played 17 games before tonight, coming off that horrific leg injury last year. Good to see him back out there with some continuity. That's a nice pack mark from Max King, rising above De Koning to pull it in. Only problem is he's at half back. Kicks short to Battle, fresh off a 2-year contract extension during the week. Back to Hunter Clark, another Saint who it's good to see back out there.
As you said, Joel, Tim Memory's behind the ball, so that really limits the options in terms of forward use here for the Saints. They're just going to have to be patient.
He was on his own by just then, Ball. The only problem is he was 45 out from his defensive goal.
Yeah, and you look up and it's Zach Tui and the ruckman behind the ball for the Cats, so there's going to be no fluency. You're just going to have to make a contest here and hope for a stoppage.
So Webster kicks long down the line. At the fall of the ball, Higgins. Hand passes to Hanbury. Defensive hand pass to Patton. His handball's inboard. Looking for Ross. He gives it to Windhager. Short chip forward finds Owens. 2 kicks from goal at left half forward. Plenty of numbers inside 50. Goes in the King direction. Has about 3 to beat. It spills to ground. Higgins is there. He got tripped.
Yep.
Free kick going to Higgins. 50 metres out from goal.
Thomas Stewart pleading his case. It might have been an accidental trip. Oh, no, good decision. Yeah, really good decision. Stewart was lying on the ground after the contest. Higgins tried to jump over him and he just lifted his leg enough to cause Higgins to trip over. So, good decision.
So, Geelong with the last 4 goals of the game. The Saints desperately need this and Higgins has just squeezed it home. Geelong 4-4-28. St Kilda moved to 2 straight 12. 25 minutes played opening term.
It's a great settler there for St Kilda. They definitely needed that one. Probably didn't need to give away the free kick either, Bally, for Stewart on the ground. There was at least probably a +2 in terms of numbers for Geelong around the ball. The really impressive thing for Geelong at the moment is their ability to set up behind the ball, and it's really being driven by Mitch Duncan. So he's been the one that's dropping off and allowing then Zach Tui to be the deepest defender. And Tom Stewart just probably got a little bit caught up in the moment there and stuck a leg up and didn't really need to because he had enough pressure around him. But a great settler there for St Kilda, and hopefully they can get on top of these centre clearances because that's been the one that's the stat that's probably the damning of the St Kilda team thus far.
Kieran Peterson alongside Luke Ball here at Kilda Park on Grandstand AFL, the Adelaide Oval. Couple of quick ones to Charlie Dixon and the Power. So they lead Richmond by 5 points early stages there. You can get a call of that game through the AFL app. If you're a Tigers fan wanting to check in on how your team's going, we'll bring you regular updates throughout the course of the evening. Saints win it out of the middle. Taken by Smith at half-back for Geelong, though. Exchanges the hand pass with Kolajazzi and then kicks long up the line. Dalhouse brought it to ground. Parfitt runs away with it. Handball inboard to Stanley. The big bloke's got some galloping room. He swings the handball away to Menegola, who chips it inside the 50. Henry had a few to beat, and he won the race to the footy. Ben Patton's down a little bit sore, and Jack Henry's going to get 50 as well. He will be marched right to the goal line.
If anyone wasn't sure where Henry was supposed to go, Jeremy Cameron was very happy enough to tell him and the St Kilda players the direction towards the goal line.
Well, it was Callum Wilkie who's been really probably the Saints' best player this year, most consistent player. He'll be leading their best and fairest, I think, along with the skipper.
Henry thumps it through into the top tier of the players' stand, and that's Geelong's 5th. They've kicked 5 of the past 6 in the game. They lead by 22 points at the 27-minute mark. Grandstand AFL, the thoughts of Luke Ball.
Yeah, it was just a brain fake. Just gave the ball back to the wrong person. So made an absolute certainty out of what would have been a tricky shot at goal for Jack Henry, who's just floating down there as the third tall option. It's an interesting one, isn't it, with Henry? We know Blitzarves is out tonight. I've heard Chris Scott talk about this side needing to improve from here until deep in September if they're going to win it. So he's a player that is now, you look down, he's starting out of the goal square. Is he there? Does he go back behind the ball? It's terrific. In a way, it's a great luxury to have, isn't it?
Back in the middle, beautiful tap by Stanley, unfortunately, straight to Hanbury of the Saints. Tumbles a kick inside forward 50. Ball spills to ground. Long pursuing it there. He tries to tap it to advantage. Coming through Steele, gets the hand pass away. Ross is there, could have caught one high. Umpire says it's all okay. Menegola wraps him up. Ball up, 50 metres out from St Kilda's goal, left half forward.
Marshall wins it down inside the forward 50 for the Saints. Duncan plays the tackle. He's given away a free kick, though. Lowering the shoulder was Mason Wood. So the ex-Roo will have it 45 metres out.
I don't have a problem with that one, Kez. He's bending down to pick up the ball, getting in lower and harder, and a bit of a swinging arm from Duncan. So the crowd probably voicing their thoughts on it, but I think that's just that's the one you should reward, the guy who's getting down and getting lower and winning the footy.
Tend to voice their thoughts down in this part of the world, Bally. The Cats fans. Mason Wood, he's a local. Will they give him any love? Doesn't sound like it. Unless they're just calling Wood. He strikes it from right on the paint of the 50. He's kicked it like a local. That's an absolute ripper of a set shot. Lovely strike from Mason Wood. And the Saints have another to close the gap to 16 points. 3 straight 18, St Kilda. You certainly couldn't accuse them of not taking their chances. The Cats 5-4-34 might be guilty of that at the other end somewhat. 29 gone, opening term on Grandstand AFL.
It's a little bit of damage, I guess, limitation at the moment for St Kilda, isn't it? Like, thank goodness that they've kicked 3 straight, because at the moment the inside 50 is a 15-7. To your point, Paulie, I would agree with you. I think we have to protect the player that's going in hard, over the footy. I think Jack Ginnivan of Collingwood might have something to say about potentially that decision, but I do agree with you. I think we have to protect that element of the game where a player's particularly running front on and they get first to the footy. We've got to protect the player.
So a much-needed goal late for St Kilda. There's time for one more if they're good enough, and they win the clearance through Hanbury skies a ball to centre-half forward. Wood comes out to meet it, got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Geelong win it at ground level. Menengola from right half back drives a kick down the line. Out the back, big rise from Stengel. Pulls in a ripper. From just in front of the interchange gates, chip short to Duncan, who has some room to move. Chip short, and I think he was originally looking for Hawkins, but Cam Guthrie comes in front and takes the mark. 55 out from goal, kicks in board to Zach Guthrie.
Zach goes inside the forward 50, finds Duncan, who's marked just inside the arc. What's he got? A couple of seconds left. Oh, he's going to be... Umpire's just blown time off while he goes back to the top of his mark. He's now blown time on again, so the siren might sound on Mitch Duncan here, and we know from about this point of the ground he doesn't mind the big load up.
I don't think he'll need the talk here. Quite. He kicked from about 52.
He's going to go back behind the mark, and I guarantee the Cats fans will know all about this as well. Umpire's just setting the mark and made sure everyone heard the siren. That rung out for quite a while.
It's in pretty good hands.
There's just a little bit of a murmur of expectation around the ground at the moment. But he is a beautiful kick of the football, Mitch Duncan, especially around the field. He's in prodigious form at the moment. He strikes it from 50, gives it everything he's got, and it is every bit good enough. Duncan seals the opening term with a goal for Geelong. And that is a nice way to cap off a very bright opening to this game for the Cats. Duncan adds his name to the goal-kicking list in the opening quarter. And Geelong turn with a 22-point advantage after St Kilda kicked the first. The Cats kicked 6 of the following 8 goals in that term. And they lead by 22 at quarter time, 6-4-40 to the Saints, 3 straight 18. 2 to Hawkins for Geelong, the goal to Duncan alongside Tui with the first of the game. Well, the first of the game for the Cats anyway. Henry and Tyson Stengel for St Kilda there. 3 goals to Jack Higgins, Mason Wood and Jack Sinclair. Quarter time at Kilda Park. The Cats with a much better start this week. They lead St Kilda by 22 points on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
We are one,
but we are many, and from all the lands earth we come. We share a dream, as big with one.
90 years of the ABC.
You are, we are Australian.
90 years yours.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Just outside 50 for GWS. Gets the handball to Cornelio. He can run on goal. The snap. And he's converted. The Giants strike.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time here at Geelong. A very good opening term for the hosts. 6-4-40 leading St Kilda 3 straight 18. Mitch Duncan capping the opening term with a goal after the siren. He didn't quite need the torpedo he required against West Coast last year. But it was still a very nice strike to get us to the end of the opening term. The Saints kicked the first of the game. Geelong then kicked 4 in a row, matching what the Bulldogs did to them to start last week. They traded goals towards the end, the two teams, and it is Geelong 6-4-40 to the Saints, 3 straight 18 at quarter time. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Earlier today, Hawthorn defeated the Gold Coast Suns by 7 points in Launceston behind 5 goals from Jack Gunston. GWS by 27 points over Essendon. An important win for the Dockers, defeating the Bulldogs at Docklands, and it's an important loss in a way for the Western Bulldogs, who now will stay a game outside the AFL's top 8 with 2 rounds remaining. There's another game in progress tonight. The Tigers kicked the first against Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. The Power kicked the next 2 through Charlie Dixon, and the Tigers have answered back through Tom Lynch and Jack Ross, and they lead Port Adelaide by 10 points, 3-4-22 to 2 straight 12. That game's still got about 7 minutes left in the opening term, and we'll keep you across that. That's got finals ramifications for the Saints. Those two teams split by 2 premiership points heading into tonight. Luke Ball and Kieran Peterson are with us on Grandstand AFL. Bally, it was a bright start for the Saints, but it didn't take the Cats long to take control.
Kicked the first goal, didn't they, through Jack Sinclair, but from that point on, it was a pretty dominant performance from the Cats. 16 inside 50s to 7. Really, 22 points doesn't quite tell the tale. It was as I said, it was a really dominant quarter. For a large part of that quarter, the game was played in Geelong's front half, and they just looked so sound behind the ball, especially here at this narrow ground. We know they play it so well, and the Saints showed their hand. They wanted to get their forwards up the ground a bit and really try and clog up that forward line. And you can understand that to an extent. It's such a dangerous forward line, isn't it? But the problem with that is that when you do win the ball back, you look up, and they were so well set up behind the ball, Geelong, that really the Saints had no flow to their game whatsoever. And if it wasn't for a bit of resistance in terms of centre bounce, and Hanbury went into the centre bounce and won a couple of centre bounce clearances in the last 5 minutes of that quarter, and they were able to score from those. Other than that, it was as I said, a pretty dominant quarter from the Cats. They've had 30 more possessions, and really there's a lot of... Seb Ross has had 8 possessions for the Saints, but really no one else has shown much. And the skipper looking at, he had 3 possessions, Hunter Clark 3, Brad Hill 3, Dan Butler only 3, Hanbury only 4, Crouch 4. So they need a lift from a lot of their prime movers if they're going to give themselves any chance to get back into this game whatsoever. And from the Cats, it was a pretty even spread, wasn't it? Menegola started well. He's had 9 possessions. Stanley started well. He looks like he really wants to grab that ruck roll by the throat tonight. He's had 7 possessions. Guthrie 7. And Mitch Duncan at the end there. Sides have got to cotton onto this. He's way too smart a player. We know that you've got to make him defend, so you've got to put a dangerous player on him as he starts at half-back. But then when Geelong win the footy, you've got to snap from that attack into defence mindset, because he's had way too much space forward of centre, and we know when he gets forward of centre, he's either going to score himself or he's going to set one up. So they have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I think you've absolutely nailed it. That is the good news for St Kilda, is that they were able to get themselves back on top in the clearances. They're +1, 9-8. It's Stengel for mine that's doing the damage, and he's had 5 disposals and 3 scoring involvements, but it's his work off the ball that's doing the damage at the moment for mine, for Geelong.
I don't like the matchup that might be dangerous for the Saints defence. He's certainly proving it in that opening term, is Tyson Stengel. Underway here in the second term. Cats lead by 22 after their highest scoring opening term since 2009 or 2019 down here at Kardinia Park. Mitch Duncan has it out on the wing. Handball to O'Connor, who blasts it out of bounds on the full. If you're just joining us, Patrick Dangerfield a late out tonight with some calf tightness. Well, a late out after the warm-up. Luke Dahlhaus came into the selected team. So too Zach Tui and Sam Menegola from the 22 Geelong picked on Thursday. Jonathan Segler's the sub. Zach Jones the sub for the Saints. Neither used so far in the game. And in the other game at the Adelaide Oval, it's Port Adelaide trailing Richmond by 4 points.
Just the one mark for Max King in that first quarter. It's going to be a tough night for him, but these are the nights where he just has to compete. His work rate, he's got to stay at a high level. He's got to bring the ball to ground as much as possible.
So throw in half forward for St Kilda. Quick kick inside forward 50. Geelong have the numbers though. Smith from close up against the boundary line. Kicks long down the line. Stengel had a bit of work to do, and in the end fists it over the boundary line for a throw in front of the Hickey stand. Geelong lead by 22 points early in this second term. St Kilda with a bit of work to do.
0437 774 774, the SMS number. Love to hear from you throughout the course of the evening. Stanley wins it down to himself in ruck in the end. Like he was dribbling a basketball to himself, just patted it down and collected the bounce. Skied it up the line, but Howard was in to mark in front of Hawkins. Chips short and wide to the Tassie product in Webster. Now back to Dougal Howard, 100th game for Dougal Howard. 45 of those in Port Adelaide colours before a move at the start of 2020 saw him link up with the Saints. He whips it across the defensive 50 to Hunter Clark, who now comes to Wood, who's just shy of the wing on the broadcast side. He pokes it over the top and Butler pulls it in. He just marked in front of O'Connor for the Saints. Now goes back to Battle, all by foot.
So Battle from right half back. Runs forward 10 metres and then kicks long down the line to a pack. In front position, Membry couldn't complete the mark, but the umpires found a free kick. It's going St Kilda's way to Membry.
Out of zone umpire, spotted that one. I think it was there. He probably should have marked it, but had the arms dragged down.
Loads up and kicks to the pocket, looking for King. It spills over the back to Tui, who collects for Geelong. Hand passes looking for Close. He got an errant bounce, goes over the line for a boundary throw in. 55 around from St Kilda's goal. They trail by 22 points early in the second term.
And that's what we're talking about. He mightn't take 10 or 12 marks tonight, Max King, but he has to jump in, compete, and bring that ball to ground, give them a chance. Forward stoppage.
Marshall controls it down in ruck. Windhager ran over the football in the end. Woods in there fighting for it, tackled by Atkins and by Holmes. And we'll have another ball up right half forward. Saints kicking to the players' stand end here in this second term. Geelong kicked 6 in the opening term to that end of the ground. Steele, hands and knees, handballs to Wood, kicks inside the 50. Owens had Stewart draped all over him. And so Michito Owens has got it just outside the 50, chips it to fall forward to Koning. Good position, read it nicely. Has always had the high ground on King in that contest, takes a mark at full back.
Flares it across the face to O'Connor, who chips short to College Asney in the right back pocket. We'll just send it long down the outer side. Stanley will have a run from the back and pulls in a nice mark. Defensive side of the wing, wants to move it quickly, has players running for him. Hawkins over the back, hand passes to Myers. Hand pass had a little bit too much on it. Now Myers with the work to do. He's brought to ground. The players dive on top of him. The umpire says, give it to me. Ball up at right half forward for Geelong.
He's playing like he knows that the subsidy on the bench is the second ruck, doesn't he, at the moment, Reece Stanley?
It's probably what Cats fans have wanted to see from him over quite a while. He hasn't really ever been able to cement his spot. He's been the late out on so many occasions. He and Darcy Fort previously and whoever else. Chris Scott elected to throw in there any given time. No scoring here in this second term through 4 minutes. Either side yet to break the deadlock. Hughes shoots it forward here. Kick knocked around before it got to close. So he handballed out wide. Duncan couldn't reel it in with his outstretched right hand. And it'll be tossed back in at the junction of the 50 and the boundary. Geelong 15-4 on the season. A win for them tonight sees them go a game clear atop the table, and the Saints, a win for them sees them go a game clear inside the 8.
So the umpire flicks the ball back in. There's an infringement in the ruck contest. Marshall will take the free kick for St Kilda in the back 50. Just chips short and finds Steele in a bit of space. Left half back. We'll just have to send it long down the line again. He does exactly that. Out the back, Sharman with a bit of a fly. Won the footy at ground level. Hand passes to Membry. He's dispossessed. And now Owens dives on top of that. College Jasney at the bottom of the pack. Ball up on the point edge of the square. Geelong into attack.
Seems like the start of the game. Both sides really feeling each other out in the opening 5.5 minutes of this second term. Steele socketed off the ground. Hunter Clark, handball to Hanbury, now back to Wilkie, whacks it to the edge of the 50. Membry got a push through the pack and has been given a free. I thought the umpire signalled the other way there, which would have been interesting, but that was a clear shove from College Asney on Membry, who's got it 60 from the home out at left half forward.
It's been a bit sloppy, haven't they, at the start of this quarter? I think that's 5 free kicks against for the quarter for the Cats. I'm sure that might please Chris Scott.
Where's the lead going to come from? King stands in the square. Marshall's in the pocket. Tim Membry looks like he might fancy his chances here. I might have sold him a few. I have to kick it. Well, he ends up kicking it from 60. Puts it to the top of the square. King rises. Brings it down to the front of the pack. Kolajasny soccers it through. Menegola turns back toward goal from the back pocket. Hands it off to Duncan. He skies it outside the defensive 50. Coming with the flight of the ball there was Cameron. Couldn't take the mark. Trying to hook it around his body was Battle. Did so. Not the 15. Atkins called to play on. Swings it across the defensive goal face. Dangerous kick. Well done, Stewart, though. Provided the support and allowed Buse to rush in and mark in the right back pocket.
And he takes off, but has got nowhere to go. Does really well to get around Owens on the mark. And then kicks outside defensive 50. Holmes at the front of the pack. Got a free kick for a hold to the cheers of the Geelong fans in the stands this evening. So Holmes from right half back drives it down the outer wing. Sinclair's there for St Kilda though. Hand passes to Crouch, who gives it to Hanbury from centre wing. Does a U-turn and then kicks towards half forward and finds Membry. 2 kicks from goal. Membry will just kick into the pocket looking for Owens, and coming across the face of the pack was De Koning. Was he claimed the mark? Yes, he was paid the mark in the end in the right back pocket for Geelong.
Hard to believe it's just game 19 for Sam De Koning. Averaging 7 intercepts a game for the Cats. Sends it outside the defensive 50. Membry takes it off the pack. Handball forward. Crouch missed it. Goes back and gets the footy. Hands it off to Windhager, who smashes it to full forward. Owens gets upstairs, read it nicely in flight and juggles it as he falls to his back. In the left forward pocket, he marks 15 out.
I was just about to say, Paulie, that
he's going to chip it short to Butler, in fact. Butler's 35 from home. He comes centrally to Membry, who's also about 35 out directly in front, Kez.
That looked like a training drill. I'm not too sure what was going on there. I was about to say that the St Kilda midfielders, I think, need to do a better job lowering their eyes. If they keep bombing away inside, particularly deep inside forward 50, the intercept defenders that Geelong have back there, it's not going to play into their hands for St Kilda. As soon as I was about to say that, they've bombed one long and they've taken a mark. So, shows how much I know.
Game 150 last week for Tim Membry. Kick to goal last week on the approach. As soon as he struck that, he pumps the fist and he wheels away in celebration. He liked the look of it as soon as it was airborne. And he kicks the first of the second term for the Saints. 4 straight 24 St Kilda. Geelong 6-4-40. 9 minutes into the second term comes the first goal here on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, and have been having these lapses in games, the Cats, so it won't be pleasing the coaching staff at all. It's 6 inside 50s to zip for the quarter for the Saints, so they have had a lift. They needed one at quarter time, and it's been Steele and a few of their midfielders just getting the ball going. Hanbury, Crouch involved again, getting the ball forward, and they're having a win with this Owens on Stewart matchup as well. We like Owens. He's a really promising young player and probably hasn't played this role much to this point in his career, but only the 4 possessions at the moment to Tom Stewart and hasn't really had an impact on the game. So that's certainly a win for the Saints at the moment.
So first goal of the second quarter, first score of the second quarter coming at the 9-minute mark after an opening term that saw 9 goals between the two sides of my... Wait for a second there to do the math. Anyway, from the middle, Geelong win the clearance to half forward. Stengel comes bursting out, does really well, and then kicks towards half forward through the fingertips of Myers, who has to turn tackler. Patton gives it to Hill, he gives it to Webster, but I think the ball might have been over the boundary line before he kicked it. So throw in at half forward for Geelong. Their margin is cut down to 16.
Just full of confidence, isn't he, at the moment, Tyson Stengel? He's flying for marks, he's getting on the end of goals, and that was a brilliant attack on the footy.
Is he in your All-Australian team, Paulie?
I think he is, yeah. I think he, having a look at the body of work, and given Geelong are where they are, I think he's the best out-and-out small forward this year.
Free kick coming to Parfitt here, who, as the ball rumbled around at the stoppage, was held. He hands it off to Stewart. Stewart launches it inside the 50 to the pocket. Hawkins in the wrestle with Howard. Howard got a hand to it. Now to play, it'll be thrown back in.
Certainly the most improved, or the comeback player of the year,
yes.
Something like that, like they have over in the States. He's something, I think. He needs some sort of acknowledgement
just
for his season.
Give him something. 38 goals for Tyson Stengel after a premiership the last couple of years with Woodville West Torrens in the Sandful. As now Sinclair whacks it outside the defensive 50. Up toward the wing. Sharman, the riser, in the pack again. Couldn't pull it out. Looked like it bobbled out of his hands as he hit the turf. Long goes it in the long sleeves for the Saints. Got it out somehow to Butler. Now to Crouch. Back to Hill by hand. Steps around Myers. Went one too many. Ran into O'Connor. Lost the ball. It spills to Windhagen now for St Kilda. He kicks up the line. Kolajasny's there to cut that off. Cam Guthrie's handball over the top. Pretty messy stuff on the outer side. It'll be tossed back in underneath the Hickey stand. Here on the broadcast side for us is Daniel Miles.
Well, rumblings of discontent down here on the boundary line. There's been about 3 changes for Geelong this entire quarter because the ball's been stuck on the opposite side for the entire match. Zach Guthrie's standing here, hasn't been able to get on all quarter.
Ball back into play on the outer side wing. Spills out the back to Cameron. Wheels around. His kick partially smothered now. Chance for St Kilda. Ross has a bounce from half forward. Draws the player. Hand passes to Higgins from 40 out. Shoots towards goal. It goes across the face. But King has marked in the pocket.
Oh, he's got Butler on. Oh, he thought about it.
Oh, he's still screaming. Butler wanted the foot. He's still screaming at him.
He's got to go back and kick the goal now, Max. He had loose players, but again, terrific pressure from the Saints. Ben Long, brilliant smother. Creates a shot at goal.
10 metres out, tight angle. No worries for Max King. 2 in a row to St Kilda in this second term, and the margin's cut back to 10. Geelong 6-4-40 leads St Kilda 5 straight 30. 13 minutes played second term. Your experts are Luke Ball and Karen Peterson.
I don't know about you, Bally, but I actually like that from the full forward. Yes, you could probably sit here and argue that he had his teammate on in the middle of the ground, but I like someone. King hasn't had a huge influence on the game thus far. He finally gets his opportunity to go back and take ownership and responsibility to nail the goal as forwards. Particularly with St Kilda trailing at the moment, but making a bit of a charge. I like the fact that he took the responsibility. Had he have turned around and tried to square that up, and it missed the target, everyone would sort of drop their head and think, oh, geez, you've got to take the responsibility. So, no, I don't mind that for Max King. I thought it was a terrific finish, and you want your forwards to be involved in the game, and he's done exactly that, so well done.
2 goals, 5 last week. Goal number 47 on the season for the young Saints spearhead. From the restart, Marshall controls it down to Steele. He was bumped off it. Cam Guthrie was in to pick it up. Now Dalhouse at half forward. Handballs to Menegola. Shoots it inside the 50. Hawkins marks 48 from home. I think Howard pinched a metre on the mark there. Goes to the pocket. Well, he wasn't all that happy with it. Close mark just inside the boundary line, but Tom Hawkins punched his open hand as he wheeled away. So close from right on the boundary line, hooks it around the corner and strikes the top of the left-hand goalpost. First score of the quarter for the Cats after they kicked 6-4 in the first term. It's taken them 14 minutes to register a score, and they lead St Kilda by 11 points.
Wilkie short to Webster in the left back pocket. He chips back to Wilkie. And the last long defence for St Kilda. They've kicked the only 2 goals of the second term, St Kilda, as Wilkie exits defensive 50, close to the boundary line. Long's marked just inside the field of play. Wheels around from left half back. Kicks long down the line, and coming through and taking the uncontested mark is Sharman. Quick to hand pass off to Hill from centre wing. Kick towards half forward. It's not a good one. Standing in the hole is O'Connor for Geelong. Swings it across the back 50 to Duncan at centre half back.
It had to be a longer kick. They had a one-on-one forward of the ball. Brad Hill tried to pinpoint a pass, turns it over. That had to go deep inside 50 for the Saints.
Mitch Duncan went to Menegola, then got it back, kicked long up the line. Dalhouse brought it to ground, was first back there as the ball hit the turf. Handball out to Smith. Free kick and advantage to the Cats. No, it's coming back to Dalhouse, who got a shove after he got rid of it.
Did really well then, Dalhouse, in the contest. It was 3 on 2, and he was about the only one that kept his feet and was able to gather a clean possession, so he did very well.
Of course, the late in after the 2 late ins for Geelong, replacing Patrick Dangerfield. Dalhouse, he chips short to Menegola, and defensively he now hacks a kick inside the 50. Henry floats across the pack, almost pulled it in. Patton plucked it clean. Nice bit of roving to Sharman, to Webster, almost run down by Parfitt. Spills to Tui inside the forward 50 for the Cats. Now Atkins, 35 metres out in the right forward pocket. Tui kicks goalward and finds Smith standing all alone in the square. Bit of chaos inside forward 50 for the Cats, created by Brandon Parfitt. And Isaac Smith will go back from the top of the goal square and slot through Goal number 189 in his career. Already a three-time premiership player. And could well add a fourth in different colours this season. And the Cats get their first of the second term. 7-5-47 Geelong. St Kilda 5 straight 30. 16 minutes gone, second term on Grandstand AFL.
Sometimes you've just got to be in the right spot at the right time, and that's exactly what Isaac Smith did just then. It was Dougal Howard who was the defender, and I think he just got lost on the weak side of the ground, and it was Isaac Smith able to stand in between two St Kilda defenders, which is not a great place to defend from if you allow Isaac Smith a little bit of space and right time and right place, and just happened to be in a great spot. But I think Dougal Howard probably not going to like watching that on the replay on Monday during the review.
So margin back out to 17 points. Halfway through this second term on Grandstand AFL from the restart. Marshall down to Ross, who kicks off the deck, tumbles towards half forward. Stewart first there in the foot race, although he's stripped of the footy. That's holding the ball. Free kick to St Kilda at left half forward. Owen's the recipient. Loads up and sends it towards the pocket. It's a big pack that forms. It spills to ground. Membry's there, but he's tackled immediately. The umpire's having a look and says, give it to me. Ball up 30 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Inside 50s at 8-3 this quarter.
Yeah, pressure certainly lifted around the ball from the Saints.
Have controlled the territory. Henry reaches up in ruck inside the defensive 50. Menegola got stripped of the footy, caught holding the ball. Free kick to the Saints, and it's the skipper. The man of steel's got it in the left forward pocket, 40 out.
Tackle, yeah.
Difficult pocket to kick from too, with that scoreboard and that open end. There's a bit swirling. We've seen already a few players tonight missing from this pocket. Looks like he's going to go around the body here from probably 35, 40 out.
Not a huge goal kicker. Jack Steele, just 52 in his 135th game today. 3 on the season. Hooks it around the body. Does it brilliantly. That is a team lifter. The captain with the chase down tackle and the finish. And the Saints again close to within 11 points with their third goal of the term. They're still unblemished. 6 straight. Geelong 7-5-47. 18 and a half minutes gone on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Carlton's AFLW captain Kieran Peterson and former Saint and Pie Luke Ball.
Good tackle, yeah. We know that's one thing he does so well. And just pinned the arm, didn't he? It was only a couple of steps from Menegola, but probably enough to have adjudged prior opportunity. They were trying to evade, and he called it, Cares. Good finish. Just went back and took the responsibility. Had a slow start to the game, Jack Steele, but he's certainly come into the game in this second quarter. And it's been the leaders, really. Membry, Steele, Crouch and Hanbury really getting the Saints going.
So Sharman into the ruck for St Kilda. Stanley wins the tap down. No surprises there. Roving is Holmes. Kicks inside forward 50. It's off hands. Coming through Crouch. She was almost tackled without it by Guthrie. Umpire says play on. Cam Guthrie collects. Gives it to Atkins. Pokes it into the pocket. Kick just bounces in front of Cameron over the line for a throw-in 30 metres around from Geelong's goal.
Jeremy Cameron's very quiet as well. He's only had 1 touch as long with Stengel for this quarter.
He was quiet in the first half last week too, wasn't he, Cameron? Came into the game in the second half. Ball tossed back in. Short throw in. Was very shallow. Hawkins absolutely threw that to Holmes. That was a little Billy Slater flick pass.
Yeah,
the offload.
It was a little offload. Yeah.
The front rower offloading it to the fullback. And Tom Hawkins wasn't getting away with that. And so Battle will take it inside the defensive 50 at the Adelaide Oval. It's the Tigers by 10 points, 29 over the Power 19. The Saints control it up the wing here. Higgins and Crouch, 1-2 handball. Crouch lost it though, taken away by Dalhouse, and now Steele runs down Duncan, gone! A couple of chase down tackles from Jack Steele, providing the inspiration for the Saints. He flares it across half forward and finds Long. 49 and a half out from home, inside the 50. Hill, he dropped it, he spent it before he had it. And Myers mops up in the defensive 50 for the Cats. Handball to Zach Guthrie. Now to O'Connor in front of the scoreboard at right half-back. Kicks outside the defensive 50. Floats over the head of Parfitt. Got past Long. Stengel scoots in. Scoops it up. He's had the ball taken away. Slammed back by Hunter Clark toward half forward. Bounces nicely for Sharman. Handball to Membry. Handball to Windhager. Now the entering kick. Almost the entering kick inside the 50. Getting across to thump it away from Owens was the opposite 24 in Buse. Pretty frenetic passage of play, and it ends in a throw in at right half forward for the Saints.
The opportunity gone begging there, the Saints. Brad Hill just had to hang on to that. Be a little bit stronger. Good desperate spoil, and another one there from Jed Buse is a much improved play for the Cats.
Throw in half forward for St Kilda. Stanley lays a tackle on Hanbury and forces a stoppage 55 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Jess Webster and Joel Peterson calling the action this evening. Karen Peterson and Luke Ball and Daniel Miles on the boundary. From the ball up, Stanley wins it. Hand passes backwards to Smith, who kicks down the line in the Hawkins direction, who got a free kick for a hold. On centre wing in front of the interchange gates here on the broadcast side, Hawkins kicks towards half forward, standing in the hole and taking a good strong mark is Patton for St Kilda.
Uncharacteristic skill error from the Hawk. Grandstand's own, of course. He was alongside you a few weeks ago, Luke Ball. Now the kick down the line from Hill, looking for Sharman, knocked away by Buse, to Stanley, to De Koning at left half-back for the Cats. He kicks around the wing and Sinclair picks it off. Who is a walk-up start in the All-Australian team for my money. Chips inboard to Ross, Horsham's finest. He goes on the left boot across the centre square. Lovely releasing kick, finds Wilkie. The wraparound run from Patton. Doesn't feed the handball in that direction initially. Then he did. Patton kicks on the right boot inside the forward 50. Wood. Oh, he couldn't take the mark. He got a hand to it out the back. He dribbled it toward goal, but he couldn't sneak it through. It's away to the left-hand side for Mason Wood. First blemish for the Saints, 6-1-37. Geelong 7-5-47. The margin 10 through 23 minutes in the second term.
Just been able to get a bit more flow in their ball movement, haven't they? Just make the ground a little bit bigger and really stretching out the Cats team defence.
Zach Guthrie from the kick-in goes straight down the corridor. The big fist came from Sharman. And Mason Wood emerges with it at centre-half forward for the Saints. Flares it out wide for Hill in a one-on-one battle against O'Connor. Hill just couldn't collect and keep it in play. Spills over the line for a boundary throw in 55 metres around from the Saints' goal at left half forward.
That's the one. It's got to go to the top of the square, that one. Mason Wood went in down under pressure. Just tried to invent something. Went wide. Now we get a stoppage 60 metres out. Really should have been a deep entry for the Saints.
Brad Hill certainly thought it was going there. He sort of got caught ball watching a little bit. He was flat-footed out at half forward. Ball's knocked straight down to ground and we'll have a ball up inside 50 for St Kilda. They've kicked 3 goals, 1 here in this second term. The Cats have added 1 goal, 1. They led by 22 at quarter time. It's now 10 the way of the Cats. Zach Guthrie off the stoppage, exits the defensive 50 up the Hickey stand side, taken by Wilkie, throws it on the boot. An absolute moonraker up the wing. Sharman, nice pluck.
Shows a bit, doesn't he? He's had an almost game to this point, I reckon. He's flown for 3 or 4 and got his hands to a few, hasn't clunked one, but he's got some talent, hasn't he? Got some promise. Very athletic.
Last season, really strongly, kicked 10 goals in his last 4 games after being taken in the mid-season draft out of Woodville West Torrens in the SANFL. Saints come across the ground now toward the broadcast side through Wilkie and Membry and Battle, and now to Patton, who stands on the AFL logo. He's got options lining up in the centre of the ground. He gets around Dalhouse. Nice fleet of foot. Gets to the front edge of the square. Kicks to the pocket. Mason Wood was doubling back toward the goal square. Brought it down off the boot of Long, out of bounds on the full. That's unlucky. And it'll be a Cats ball in the left back pocket. Sam De Koning to take it. Margin 10 points the way of Geelong. We're 25 minutes into this second term.
It was unlucky, but that ball movement, that patience that St Kilda's showing at the moment, the intent to be able to swap sides of the ground has been really impressive.
De Koning kicks long down the line. Players scrap for the ball. The umpire's plucked out a free kick going to St Kilda for a high tackle. Mason Wood.
It's been good, Wood. This will be his 6th possession for the quarter.
He's 60 metres out at right half forward. Plenty of numbers inside forward 50. Just pitches it to a dangerous position. They all fly out the back as Holmes for the Cats on the last line of defence. Gets around Crouch. Then exits defensive 50 with a long kick. Collar Jasny and closer there. It spills over the line for a throw in 55 out from St Kilda's goal. Let's head downstairs to Daniel Miles.
Jess, Saints are trying to make the most of the fact that Tom Stewart's stuck on the pine and has been for about 8 minutes now. He's there alongside Zach Toohey, and Jack Henry. So a couple of the defensive stocks from the Cats can't get into the game.
They look like they're waiting for a bust to the game. Dan all standing down there. A Steele hacks it inside the forward 50. Zach Guthrie sees it roll out. Matt Stevic says toss it in. Next King's back on the ground for the Saints. They just made the change. He'll go up in ruck against Stanley. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Premiership Pie, Luke Ball, Carlton AFLW captain Karen Peterson, your experts. Saturday night footy from Cardinia Park at the stoppage, paddled forward by Duncan. Hill put his head over it, affronted by Smith. The two former Premiership teammates at Hawthorn collide. And then it rumbles around inside the defensive 50 for the Cats. Parfitt a boot to it, now to Holmes and now to Smith. They generate some run. Cameron's hemmed in. Handball around his body, found Smith eventually. He regathered on the wing, loops the handball to Atkins, gets it back in front of the interchange gates. Backpedaling, off balance, kicks to half forward. And it all comes unstuck in that moment for Geelong as Membry intercepts for St Kilda.
It's a pressure up the ground that's just making it so much easier for the Saints back six and team defence to stunt this Geelong ball movement. It's been such a improved quarter from the Saints across the board.
Membry chips short to Crouch, kicks backwards to Howard, who swings it across the back 50 to Patton. He chips short to Sinclair at left half back. Pops it over the top to Hill. Defensive side of the wing. Kick down the line to Windhager. Marks in front. Releases Sinclair by hand. Kicks towards half forward. They have Higgins free. Crosses the paint of 50. Then kicks, looking into the corridor for Owens. Is fisted away from him. Or Menangola's hand pass was smart. That allows King to come in. Hand passes to Butler from the top of the square. And Saints have another goal. They did it the hard way, but got there in the end. Margin all of a sudden cut to 4. Geelong 7-5-47. St Kilda 7-1-43. 28 minutes played second term. Your experts are Karen Peterson and Luke Ball on Grandstand AFL.
When you have a look at the replay, that was actually a very, very easy goal for St Kilda, and two things led to it. The first one is their poise and the way that they're controlling possession across the half-back line. We mentioned it a couple of times that they're choosing to switch the sides of the ground by going short with their kicks and then pinning through the middle of the ground when their players are coming up, particularly through the corridor. And once they're getting it there, that's when they're slingshotting and going forward. So it's really safe, controlled possession across the half-back line. Then they're picking it into picking the eyes out of the Geelong's defence through the middle of the ground and spitting it forward really quickly, catching the Geelong defenders on the back foot, which is not exactly what you're used to from Geelong.
Looked like it might have come undone with the Higgins kick to Owens, and they still manufactured something out of it. It's forced forward by Geelong. Well done, Myers. Accepted the little tap on from Guthrie and then keeps on moving. Got it to Parfitt. Goes inside the 50 and finds Stengel. And Geelong say, I see your goal and I raise you. A shot from Tyson Stengel straight out of the stoppage.
Inside 50s this quarter, 15-5.
Yeah, that's an amazing number after the first quarter. What a turnaround. Nice bit of individual play there from young Myers, wasn't it? Involved a couple of times. Centre bounce, the key there. Chris Scott's seen enough. He's heading down to the rooms.
Tyson Stengel. He'll have a shot from 40 metres out, 45-degree angle right of centre. He's kicked 2 goals on 12 occasions this year. Chalk up number 13. As Stengel slots it and restores Geelong's 10-point break nearing half-time. The Cats 8-5-53. St Kilda 7-1-43.
Much needed, wasn't it? Much needed, Cole. As we said, it's been a terrific quarter from the Saints. A terrific turnaround. It looked a bit ominous at quarter time, but that one hurts a bit though, doesn't it? After putting in so much effort to crawl yourself back into the game and almost draw level. A goal there, really out of the centre bounce. They didn't lay a glove on it, the Saints, in 20 or 30 seconds just before half time. Just steadies it for the Cats, but it's all been all Saints this quarter.
So the umpire tosses the ball aloft as the siren sounds here at Cardinia Park to mark half-time. It is Geelong 8-5-53 leading St Kilda 7-1-43. Your goal kickers for the Cats, only one multiple to Tyson Stengel. He has 2, 1 to Isaac Smith. Mitch Duncan Well, Tom Hawkins also has 2. Jack Henry and Zach Tui, your goal kickers. And for the Saints, all singles: Steele, King, Butler, Higgins, Membry, Wood and Sinclair.
So 4-goal second term to the Saints. And the Cats, as they did in the first, had one right on the siren almost. It was Mitch Duncan after the bell at quarter time. And Tyson Stengel only seconds before it at the half. And Geelong turns to half-time with a 10-point advantage, as you heard Jess Webster say, 8-5-53 to 7-1-43 at the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide lead by 2 points over the Tigers. That game's got big ramifications. If the Saints were to sneak this tonight, they'd move up to 48 premiership points level with Carlton, who sits 7th, and Richmond lose that game. St Kilda would be a game and a half clear inside the top 8. So a big opportunity in front of the Saints tonight. It looked like it might be all the Cats in the opening term, but they clawed their way back in the second, did St Kilda. And they go into half-time trailing by 10. Earlier today, Hawthorn by 7 points over the Gold Coast. The Giants by 27 over the Bombers. And Docklands, it was Fremantle banking another win on the season by 17 points over the Western Bulldogs. We'll get a Commonwealth Games update from Ned Hall very soon as well. All that's happening in the final days of the Birmingham Games. But for their thoughts and reflections on the opening half here at Kardinia Park, your experts on Grandstand AFL are Carlton's AFLW captain Kieran Peterson and premiership winning pie Luke Ball.
Well, we'll start with the Saints, Kez, that quarter, and really they turned it around. They dialed up their pressure. That was the key. That's really, we know where their game starts and finishes from the Saints' point of view, and they're able to do that and control the field position off the back of it. 15 inside 50s to 5. So their work around the contest really set that up, and it was their leaders. We spoke about it a couple of times that needed to get going, and they did. Jack Steele, after a quiet first quarter, set the tone. A couple of those big tackles, big holding the balls to really inspire his teammates. Tim Membry got busy. He had 10 possessions for the quarter, so playing up the ground a little bit and then working back inside 50. Brad Crouch had 8 for the quarter as well. So they needed to get going, and they did. And for the Cats, well, it's sort of symbolic of where they're at a bit at the moment. They're playing in bursts. They're not able to play. We remember back a couple of weeks ago where they conceded 8 goals to the Power in that third quarter. It's almost like they know what their top gear is like, and they've got a real reluctance to stay in top gear. It's almost like they put a burst in like they did in that first quarter, and they shift it back to third or second to conserve a bit of energy. Well, we know against really any team, but certainly a team that's vying for a spot in the finals over the next 3 weeks. If you do that, you can come unstuck pretty quick. And full credit to the Saints, they were able to do that. But I think we saw Chris Scott storm down to the rooms. He looked nonplussed a bit with some of their efforts, and it was symbolic. I mean, you picture the Saints being able to chip the ball around in their forward line to get a better shot at goal. Well, we're not used to seeing that from the team that's on top of the ladder and won 10 in a row. So, there's some of the stuff that's been rearing its ugly head a little bit from the Cats' point of view over the last month showed itself a bit in that quarter. And yes, they go in 10 points ahead, but they've got work to do. And from the Saints, well, they have got a sniff. And again, it really, if they can maintain, the template was there, if they can maintain the contest and the pressure when they don't have the footy, and then they were just able to get a bit more fluency when they did have it. As you said, Kez, they were able to control the ball back half, and then when they found a possession forward or centre, they were able to get a bit of energy on the ball and get some overlap run and get the Cats out the back, take that loose man across half back, take him out of the play and get that ball deep into some one-on-one. So that's the method. I've got no doubt that's the footage that Brett Ratton will be showing at half-time. The boys, if we can do that, if we can maintain the rage around the footy, maintain the heat and the pressure, and then work the ball through this Cats defence like that, then we are a chance in this second half.
Yeah, the Cats, the St Kilda team might not be the only team that are looking at the way to beat Geelong. We've seen the last couple of weeks, you mentioned it, the last month, their form's actually been pretty ordinary. It's been very inconsistent and up and down, and we've seen that again tonight where they came out, really firing in the first quarter, which was what they didn't do last week, and then they've really dropped off in that second quarter. I've got a question without notice for you. What are we going to do with, what's not us, we can't do anything from up here, but what's the Geelong coaching staff going to do with Jeremy Cameron? So this is the second week in a row where he started really poorly. I think he's had 5 touches for the match. It was really I think he had one touch in that, or it might have been two touches in that second quarter. So he's been just not involved in the game. And I asked Berkey last week, what do they do? Do they throw him up the ground and try and get him involved, or do they sort of get him to stick to his task and stay deep? If you were coaching Geelong, what would you do with him?
Oh, he tends to have the licence, doesn't he, to go up and try and get his hands on the footy a bit. We know he's such a good athlete, and you think of a Franklin over the years, how he's done that when. And credit's got to go to Wilkie. He's certainly on top in that matchup, and I think at the other end, Owens is doing a really good job on Tom Stewart as well. So a couple of Geelong's, all Australian gun players really not having an impact on the game, and that's credit to the Saints coaching staff and the individual players that are doing the job on them. So I'd expect him to get up the ground a bit, maybe even start on the wing this quarter to see if he can get his hands on the footy. We know he's such a damaging player, and it really doesn't take a lot for him, like last week, to be able to turn it on. But it's probably it is a bit of it's certainly a room for improvement for Geelong in this second half. Hawkins has been the one, hasn't he? Hawkins is the one that's looked dangerous, certainly in that first quarter and a bit where they were able to get the ball in quick, but 5 inside 50s for the quarter. I mean, I suppose if you're Jeremy Cameron, you can say, well, I mean, what do you want me to do when the ball's not coming down?
It wouldn't have been too many times in recent memory that Geelong have only had 5 inside forward 50s in a quarter. They've been so prolific in getting the ball in there. They're the number one team in that stat for differential in the competitions. They average 11 more than their opponents. Number one for marks inside the forward 50. They're so efficient moving the ball in there. But we saw last week with the Dogs, you can overpower them at stoppage at times. So far, the Saints have done a pretty good job of restricting some of their scoring efforts. More thoughts from Luke Ball and Kieran Peterson very soon. It's a 10-point lead to Geelong here at halftime. 8-5-53 plays 7-1-43 at the Adelaide Oval. It's a 10-point lead to Richmond, 6-6-42 to 5-2-32. That game not quite at halftime yet. We'll take you through the world of sport. There is plenty happening across the codes, and of course the second half here at Kardinia Park coming up very soon. Cats by 10 points at the main break. Commonwealth Games update soon as well, but first let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Judith Durham, the lead singer of the Australian group The Seekers, has died aged 79. Durham died after a long battle with ill health. Taiwan has fired flares to warn away drones and other unidentified aircraft flying over its outlying Kinmen and Matsu Islands. The Defence Ministry says troops are on high alert in both areas, which lie off the coast of mainland China. Palestinian militants from the Islamic Jihad faction have fired dozens of rockets into Israel in response to Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. Police are searching for a criminal syndicate behind the importation of 700 kilograms of cocaine found on a cargo ship in Sydney. Authorities found the drugs hidden in a shipping container on a cargo ship docked at Port Botany last month. ABC News.
Conversations.
Spend an hour in the life of someone else.
At Camberwell, these two grannies were fighting with fighting sticks. Someone who has seen and done remarkable things.
Obtain an aircraft in Cairns, fly over to New Guinea, collect heroin inside a false bottom suitcase from Bangkok, and then fly it back the red tartan suitcase.
Hear the latest conversations weekday mornings from 11 on ABC Radio.
Or anytime on the ABC Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Now a chance for St Kilda. Ross has a bounce from half forward, draws the player, hand passes to Higgins from 40 out, shoots towards goal, it goes across the face, but King has marked in the pocket. 10 metres out, tight angle, no worries for Max King. Menangola's hand pass was smart, that allows King to come in. Hand passes to Butler from the top of the square, and Saints have another goal.
Tap on from Guthrie and then keeps on moving, got it to Parfitt, goes inside the 50 and finds Stengel. He's hit 2 goals on 12 occasions this year. Chalk up number 13.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Last team to beat Geelong was St Kilda. That was in round 9. In that game, they trailed by 16 points at half-time. Tonight at Kardinia Park, the Saints trailed the Cats by 10 points. It was a massive third term they put on that day with 7 goals St Kilda. They'll be hoping for much the same tonight as they continue their march toward the finals. The Cats hoping for an 11th win in a row. They lead 8-5-53 to 7-1-43 here at half-time. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling the action for you. Luke Ball and Kieran Peterson are your experts. Dan Miles is with us on the boundary this evening. The other game in progress tonight, Richmond by 9 points over Port Adelaide. Winners earlier today were Hawthorn over the Gold Coast Suns, as well as GWS and Fremantle. Plenty still unfolding in Birmingham at the Commonwealth Games. Our man across it all is Ned Hall. Good evening, Ned.
Good evening, Joel, and there is plenty happening. 2 more gold medals for Australia. I'll start with the most recently one, and that came in the lawn bowls, the women's pairs. An amazing final for Christina Kristich and Ellen Ryan. At one stage, they trailed 11-2 against their English opponents, battled back to take a 16-12 lead. It came down to the very final end, the 19th end of the match. Australia was behind at that end, but a great drive from Ellen Ryan to displace the winning English bowl. And take a 1 point advantage in that end. Australia won the gold medal as a result, 19-18. Stunning performance by them. It wasn't quite as dramatic for Jemima Montag in the 10-kilometre race walk. She blew the rest of the field away, set a games record and a personal best. A slightly different walking event this time. All of it took place within the stadium. So laps of the stadium decided the walk rather than being out on the road. But Jemima Montag, a convincing gold medal winner there. Rebecca Henderson finished in 4th place and Katie Hayward was in 10th position at the end of that one. The women's high jump final is underway at the moment. Australia's world champion, Eleanor Patterson, in a bit of trouble at the moment. Distin of Jamaica has cleared 1.95 metre. Patterson is taking part in her final jump at that distance, and she has failed, so she will not win the gold medal. It comes down to count back now to see if she picks up one of the other medals. A couple of other jumpers have got an attempt to go at 1.95, but she's missed out on the gold medal. Nicola Olasages was out of the event before it started. She had a calf injury, so didn't take place in the final. The women's shot put in the para event is also underway at the moment. Julie Charlton is currently in 6th position there with a few more attempts still to go. And elsewhere, we've got still to come in the athletics this evening. Ben Buckingham and Edward Trippitt in the 3,000 metre steeplechase final, the 4x100 metre relay for men and women, and then Ollie Hoare, who was the fastest qualifier for the 1,500 metre final, will be going for gold around 10:10 Australian Eastern Standard Time if you want to try and catch that race as well. Elsewhere so far this evening, we've seen wins for Australia in the women's doubles in table tennis. Both pairs there are through to the round of 8, and also a win in the wrestling for Justin Holland. The men's 57 kilo, he won his quarter-final against Malta. He goes through. Unfortunately, Naomi de Bruin in the women's 76 kilo event has gone out, beaten by her Canadian opponent there. A couple more big things still to come tonight to tell you about as well. Australia's Diamonds in the netball take on England for a place in the semi-final. That's off the back of that shock defeat by Jamaica. However, if they can beat England, they'll play Jamaica again in the final. Jamaica, much too good for New Zealand, winning 67-51. A peerless performance by Jamaica. They're in great form. 67 from 67 shots, so they didn't miss a single thing tonight, Jamaica. Australia will be hoping for the same against England. And that is all the latest from the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
Good on you, Ned. Ned, you've been hard at work over the last couple of weeks, so we've loved your updates. Are you going to set the alarm for 3 o'clock to watch the Aussie cricketers against New Zealand tonight?
Do you know what? I'm slightly sleep deprived as it is, but as you can tie things in now with English football as well at the moment, it might be worth being up in the middle of the night to take in everything that's happening at that time. Yeah, that's very true. How many screens have you got going at the moment? At the moment, I've got about 5 screens going in this room where I am at the moment. It's in this studio, so I'm not quite able to replicate that quite the same at home. I might continue into the wee hours. Thanks for that, Ned. Really appreciate it. Ned Hall joining us with a Commonwealth Games update. So the Aussie women cricketers going against New Zealand, the Trans-Tasman rivalry. England and India are in action at the moment. Good start for the Indian side. Smriti Mandana made 61 before she was removed. Shafali Verma followed not long. She was the first to go. Smriti Mandana was second.
And they were 2 for 77 off 8.3 overs. India batting first against England. Plenty to come here at Kardinia Park as well. 10-point lead to Geelong at half-time. 8-5-53 to St Kilda. 7-1-43. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you on Grandstand AFL. If you've got a question for our experts, 0437 774 774. That is the text line this evening, 0437 774 774. Marilyn says, Khan the Saints, hi to my mum Flo. Yell louder. I don't think our boys can hear you from Mullaloo in Perth. It would take a fair old raise of the voice to be heard from that part of the world, I would have thought. Great to have some support for the Saints on the text line tonight, of course. If things go their way with the Richmond-Port Adelaide game tonight, St Kilda could be as many as 6 points clear inside the 8 if they can take care of business here at Geelong as well, a venue they haven't won at since 1999. Earlier today, the winners in the AFL, Hawthorn over the Gold Coast Suns. We saw GWS defeat Essendon by 27 points and Fremantle defeat the Western Bulldogs at Docklands by 17. In the NRL today, the Rabbitohs thumped the Warriors 48-10. The Panthers got over the line against Canberra 26-6. Was Penrith over the Raiders. And the game in progress is 50 minutes in. The Sharks 18 lead the Dragons 12. Tomorrow across the course of the network, if you're a footy head, there's plenty for you. Our Victorian, Tasmanian and Western Australian audience, as well as on Sport Digital in Adelaide and Darwin, you'll be getting Grandstand AFL Sunday with Corbin Middlemass and the crew. In SAWA and Northern Territory, you'll start your day with North Melbourne and Sydney at Docklands. For our Victorian and Tasmanian audience, you'll be with the Footy Forum with Clint Wheeldon, Jake Nile and Mark Duffield. And then Brisbane and Carlton in Victoria, Tasmania and the top end before you finish your day with West Coast and Adelaide across the course of the network. So a couple of big games to come tomorrow. Round 9 of this year, it was the Saints who beat the Cats. That was by 10 points. That's the margin here at half-time going Geelong's way. 8-5-53 to St Kilda, 7-1-43. If you've just joined us as well, 3 late changes for Geelong in terms of their 22. Sam Menegola came in, Zach Tui came in, and Luke Dalehouse was a very late in, replacing Patrick Dangerfield. Mark Blitzarves was managed out of the 22, and Jonathan Segler's the sub for the Cats. Zach Jones, the sub for the Saints, who didn't make a late change. He's yet to feature in the game. Luke Ball and Karen Peterson are your experts on Grandstand AFL. Bally, we were there in round 9 at Docklands, and we saw the Saints put on 7 goals in the third term to turn it around against the Cats after they trailed by 16 points at half-time. They led by 16 at three-quarter time. Could you see a similar kind of turnaround today?
Well, there's plenty to play for, isn't there? As you said, if they win tonight and if Port can take care of the Tigers over there, 6 points clear. It's really theirs to... as they say, possession is 9-10. It's really theirs. That 8 spot's theirs to lose then, isn't it? With a couple of rounds to go. So there is plenty to play for from the Saints. It really just comes back to, again, can they maintain the rage around the ball? You get the sense that we'll get a spike from the Cats at the start of this third quarter, Kez. I think they might have got a decent little rev up for that lacklustre effort in that second quarter, I think. I think it was a combination, both of the Saints dialing it up and the Cats shifting it back into second or third gear. So expect them to respond. Can the Saints match it early in this quarter and continue to hit the scoreboard? Geelong kicked 5 goals, 2 from turnover. So if the Saints, their ball movement in that second quarter was a lot better. They took care of the ball in the back half a lot better, and then they would open up the Cats through the middle of the ground and forward of centre with some overlap runs. So as we said, the template's there. And the carrots there for the Saints to play with. And looking across the ground, you still feel that there's a bit of a class gap from the Cats in terms of their top-end players, and can they get a lift out of Cameron and Stewart? Atkins has been a bit quiet today. That remains to be seen, but let's hope so. From the game's point of view, from us sitting up here, let's hope so, because it was looking a bit ugly at quarter time, but let's hope this can be a contest for the remainder of the game.
Massive second half for St Kilda coming up. A finals place on the line at a venue they haven't won at since 1999. What will the next hour of footy or so produce. And they win the first clearance through Marshall, who throws it on the boot and tumbles it towards half forward. Duncan is there for the Cats, gives it to Stewart, who hand passes to Tui. Has to kick backwards. That's not 15 to Zach Guthrie, who gives it back to Tui, close against the boundary line. Hand passes back inward to Zach Guthrie, who sends it long down the line to a pack. Close got fingertips to it. Battle collects though for the Saints. His hand pass misses the target. Over the line for a boundary throw-in. True centre wing position out of side. It is Geelong by 10 points through 30 seconds of the second half.
Main break at the Adelaide Oval. 8-point lead to Richmond. 7-6-48 to Port Adelaide 6-4-40. Dion Presti has had it 19 times. Bolton and Rioli with 2 goals for the Tigers. Charlie Dixon kicked Port Adelaide's first 2 to be their only multiple goal scorer entering half-time. From the throw-in on the outer side, Windhager has a go, knocks it to Sinclair, who's been quiet by his standards tonight, hacks it off the ground, skittles the pack, Long bumps his way through. The wrecking ball that he always is. Now Holmes takes it, got the handball away to Owens, taken by Marshall, who kicks one high into the night sky inside the 50. Sharman's got upstairs and taken a very nice mark, but it was out of bounds on the full before he did it. He got the knee up and read it beautifully in flight. But Zach Guthrie will take the free kick for Geelong and shoot it short to the man who was certainly an architect in a previous life. Mitch Duncan's got it inside the D50 for Geelong.
He's threatening to take mark of the round, isn't he, Cooper Sharman?
Sharman's played defensive late but swung up forward tonight, where he started his career as Duncan kicks long down the line. That's a nice mark to Henry in the pack. Has Zach Guthrie riding shotgun and hand passes to him. A low ball down the line. Stanley's marked in space just forward of the wing. Wheels around inboard, sends a long one to the pocket. Hawkins and Cameron are there. Neither could take the mark. Spills out the back, tumbles to the top of the square. Cameron off the deck. I think he's got it home. Cameron's on the board to start the second half, and Geelong scoot out to a 16-point lead once again. 9-5-59 leads St Kilda 7-1-43 through 2.5 minutes.
I asked you at halftime, Bally, how do we get Jeremy Cameron involved? And if the Geelong coaching staff could have put something together for him and drew up a play, I reckon that's exactly what it would be. And kicking a goal within the first minute or so of the second half, it's the perfect way to get someone involved. And I thought Hawkins did quite a good job. He could have probably flew for the ball that came in the contest that was probably 30 or 40 out from goal, but instead he actually allowed Cameron to fly for it, and Cameron was the first one back onto it. So well done by the Cats. It was a great entry, and well done by Cameron, who's got himself into the game, and hopefully for his sake that's the first of many for the second half.
Yeah, it's why he's so dangerous, isn't it? The ball in the air, on the ground, and he took a half opportunity there.
Yeah, if you're going to get him involved, forget Joe the Goose. It was Jeremy the Goose kicking his first of the game. From the restart, Guthrie's thrown it up to Atkins. It'll be Windhager who'll take it. One of 2 Saints rookies out there along with Owens, who's shown plenty of promise throughout the course of the season. And neither of them were their first pick, with Isaiah Wangadeen-Miller, who's shown plenty as well. Lovely delivery from Wood. On the left boot, lasers it inside the 50 and finds Ben Long, who's marked 45 metres out, maybe just slightly better than a 45-degree angle to the left of centre.
Impressed with Mason Wood's game. Know what he brings to the table. Massive tank, massive work rate. Played a lot on the wing, and he's been involved with a few of the St Kilda scores.
This man's he's been able to cement his side, or spot in the side this year, Ben Long. He's tugged his kick left, unfortunately. 6-6 on the year for Ben Long now after that miss.
That was your fault, Bally.
Yeah.
15-point lead to the Cats.
Stewart brings the ball back in, searching for Stanley at half-back. It's off hands at ground level, picked up by Long of St Kilda. His hand pass misses. Steele coming through like a steam train is Tui. He's dispossessed by Steele. Hanbury picks it up. Hand passes to Butler at centre half forward. Spun in a 360. And that is holding the ball. So free kick in the back 50 going to Atkins.
He's had 6 tackles, Steele, and he's made every one of them count so far.
Atkins swings it across the defensive arc to De Koning. He shoots it down the line by foot to Holmes, who's off and running. Showing his burst as he runs around the wing, kicks to the edge of the 50. Hawkins turns spoiler, knocks it away from Clark, spills toward the boundary line. Brad close, handball inboard over the head of Hawkins. Sinclair's there to collect. Wonderful vision around the body. He hooked his kick, was Matt Suckling style. to Mason Wood, who darts it down the line now for Sharman as the Saints continue to build. It slows down in front of him. Now he goes centrally. Diagonal aggressive kick. Tried to find Long on the bounce. Kolajasny comes bouncing back the other way. He sends it to half forward for Cameron. Collects down low. 55 out. Vacant goal square. He centres it up. He got dumped after he kicked it. And it'll be a free kick downfield to Hawkins.
Wow. Brett Ratton be just tearing his hair out. Starting to move the ball really well. Just a couple of unforced errors, really. That Sharman kick, he had Ben Long in 30 metres of space in the middle of the ground and he missed him by 30 metres. It was a shocker. Created the turnover, and then, was it Howard or Wilkie just a little bit overzealous with the kick, which would have been a contest, a one-on-one contest, but instead it gives Tom Hawkins a pretty easy shot at goal. Lets him off the hook.
Kick 2 in the first term to this end. He's got 3, has Tom Hawkins. 54 on the season to draw one closer to his running mate up forward in Jeremy Cameron and put the Cats 21 points to the good. 10-5, 65 Geelong. They've already got 2 here in this second half. The Saints 7-2, 44. 6.5 minutes gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, it's just a coach killer there, Bally. The same thing again, though. We mentioned it must have been the first quarter, I think, where Cameron and Hawkins, the way that they're able just to work together and know where each other are at any given point in time, sort of remove the downfield free kick. It would have been a terrific contest that Hawkins, I think, must be Dougal Howard. He's wrestling in the middle of the ground. But, I mean, Jeremy Cameron, the way he swung onto that left foot and spots up his mate with Hawkins, it's a real luxury that the Geelong Cats have got to have those two playing together in the same forward line.
Back in the middle. Challenge once again presented to St Kilda to respond. Stanley tries to go off the deck. Crouch picks it up. His hand pass misses Windhager. Coming through Stewart. He collects. Short kick to Holmes. He dropped the mark. Probably wasn't 15 anyway. Crouch picks it up. Hand passes backwards to Wilkie. Rush kick around the corner. Duncan sitting in the hole. Couldn't complete the mark. Kolajasny picks it up. He gives it to Holmes, who hand passes to Dalhouse. And I think he did cop one high as Cameron is bundled over the boundary line. And there's a bit of push and shove as well between Cameron and Butler. The umpire saying just cut it out, boys. And Dalhouse has the free kick at right half forward and wanted to hand pass back to Cameron, who decided he was done with the fight and wanted a possession. In the end, gave it back to Dalhouse, who gave it back to Cameron. And he chips it short to Duncan at centre half forward.
Jeremy's just looping around everyone. Just trying to pad the stats. Now Duncan tees off, kicks long to full forward. Battle outpointed Henry. Nice mark, stretching above his head to pull it in. Kicks to one-on-one out on the wing. Owens and Stewart's been an entertaining battle, and Owens draws the 50-50 there and forces it out of play. He's done an okay job, Paulie.
No, he's done a terrific job. There has really restricted any impact Tom Stewart's had, both defensively and then when Geelong have had the ball.
Geelong with both goals here in this third term. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Luke Ball and Karen Peterson, your experts. Dan Miles on the boundary. Cats fans wanted a free kick as Jack Steele was tackled. He got his ball away. Matt Stevic rushes in and tosses it aloft out on the Hickey stand side.
Crouch with the hand pass, but the Saints have coughed it up. Atkins throws it on the boot towards full forward. It's off hands at the full. The ball, Henry. Hand passes to Smith. Left foot snap in the forward pocket. Got it. Geelong out to a new game-high lead of 27 points. 11-5-71 to St Kilda 7-2-44. 9 minutes played third term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Peterson and Luke Ball.
Well, it's pretty hard and tough there around the footy, around the clearance, and Geelong just starting to wrestle momentum back on their terms. Tom Stewart. Atkins has gone in there, won a couple of hard balls and just hacked the ball forward. This Geelong forward line, one-on-one, inside 50. There's so many options in there. They're so dangerous, and they really look like scoring every time they've gone forward. Jack Henry involved there with the goal assist, and Isaac Smith, we know, just gets better as the game goes on. It's been some intriguing battles on the wing. There's some magnificent athletes from both teams. Brad Hill spent a fair bit of time on his old premiership teammate Isaac Smith tonight.
Plenty to like about it. Patches for both sides as Steele takes it away from the middle. Long gets upstairs and pulls in a good mark, rising above Buse on the front point of the square for the Saints. Kicks to full forward. King and De Koning, the two young guns in the wrestle. De Koning was the better of the two there. Slapped it down, taken by Duncan. Duncan away to Kolajasny. In game 150, kicks around the Hickey stand wing. Too far out wide for Smith. It goes out of bounds on the full. Brought back in for the Saints, and ball in the hands of Steele on the AFL logo out of side.
So Jack Steele forced to hold up play and then just bomb it long to a pack inside forward 50. And De Koning uncontested in the end. Rises high and takes the mark. Kicks into the corridor and finds Buse, who hand passes to Duncan at centre half back. Now releases Isaac Smith, streaming through the middle of Cardinia Park. Kicks inside forward 50. Cameron just built the mark at the last moment. Close comes in. He hand passes back to Cameron. He runs into Myers. Hand passes backwards to Menangola from right up against the boundary line at half forward. Swings a kick inside forward 50. Parfitt to Close. They can't go with it. Now in comes Webster. And the ball spills out the back of the pack. And he kicks short to Wood at left half back.
So Cats by 27 points. As Jess Webster said earlier, it's a new game high lead for Geelong. After the Saints had narrowed it to 10 points at half-time, Geelong kicked 6 in the opening term to lead by 22 at quarter-time. Jack Higgins has got it. Defensive side of the wing for the Saints. Broadcast side of the ground here at Cardinia Park. Kicks long up the line. De Koning rises over the pack of 5. Almost dragged it in. Goes to ground level. He and Marshall both have equal rights to the footy. Marshall kept it moving forward. Handball to King. Had it knocked out of his hands by Dalhouse. Pushed straight back onto the football. Ducking and weaving his way through the traffic. Outlet handball to Buse. And the crowd will tell you all you need to know about that one. The groan as soon as it left the boot. It floats out of bounds on the full. And Webster will take it for the Saints and shoot it short to Clark.
Geelong by 27 as Clark called to play on and has to kick backwards to Wilkie inside defensive 50. Has Hill on the outer flank and kicks to him. Mark still inside defensive 50 and chips short to Membry at right half back. Again, it's just forced into the slow play. Membry kicks along down the wing. Bukes comes in from the side and takes the intercepting mark.
Wants to roll on quickly. Handball to O'Connor. The Irishman on the right boot sends a high footy up toward half forward. That'll almost look like he was on a collision course with Patton there, but it fell well short. Patton kicks it 13 metres to Webster, who's paid the mark. And back point of the centre square. Cats 11-5, Saints 7-2. Geelong go a win clear atop the table with victory tonight, and the Saints can keep pressing their September chances if they can claw back into this lead. Windhager's got it on the AFL logo broadcast side. Low kick into the centre of the ground for Hill. Overlap run from Clark. Kick smothered. Well done. Atkins knocked it down. Coming through the middle goes Smith, and Duncan somehow conspired to get it to Cameron. But his handball was scooped up by Windhager, who had all the time in the world to run a big arc in the centre of the ground and kick and find Patton, who now comes out to Wood on the wing.
It's marked in front of the interchange gates and spears a pass to half forward where Membry presents. 2 kicks from goal. Wheels around, kicks into the pocket. Oh, Owens with the big fly. Couldn't complete the mark. Long at ground level. His hand pass to Higgins. He has a fumble. Buse picks it up. Kicks around the corner looking for Zach Guthrie in a 2-on-1. The ball spills over the line for a boundary throw-in. 60 around from St Kilda's goal. They trail by 27 through 14 minutes of the third term on Grandstand AFL.
Getting in there enough this quarter, the Saints just can't find a mark, can they? Or a ground level contested ball win either. Geelong, small defenders, Jed Buse standing up well.
Former St Luke ball with you on Grandstand AFL. There he is, Bally, right on cue, and he'll get 50. He took a great mark reaching out in front of Higgins and then was upended by Max King, and Jed Buse is going to sprint down the middle. No one will stand the mark, and he's away. He kicks up toward half forward. He puts it straight into the slot for Brad Close. 50th game. He's been lively. He goes inside the 50 to Cameron. Knocked down by Wilkie. Ground level footy inside forward 50 for Geelong. Zach Guthrie, he went down low. Maybe got caught across the shoulder. Umpire said it was okay. And we'll have a ball up on the red paint of the 50 for Geelong at the players' stand end. They lead by 27 halfway into the third.
Marshall slaps it down. Parfitt slaps it to Dalhouse, who gives it to Zach Guthrie. From left half forward, centres the ball. It bounces towards the top of the square. St Kilda have the numbers out the back. Patton paddles to himself and then shanks it off the boot straight to Holmes, who marks 50 out from goal.
That's a bad error. He had more time, didn't he, Ben Patton? He's usually shows a lot more composure than that, but rushed the kick and if anything, it's got to go boundary side, doesn't it? Hooked it back into play and straight into the arms of Max Holmes, who certainly got this at his best.
So this to make things very difficult for St Kilda. Holmes from 50 out. What a strike from Max Holmes. And Geelong out to a 33-point advantage. 12-5-77. St Kilda 7-2-44. 16 played, third term here on Grandstand AFL.
It's a very confident young player who goes back and lines up from 55 out. At his home ground, he certainly knows distance, and his teammates absolutely backed him in because all of them were pointing towards the goals and not one of them were doing any sort of little leads towards him, so they absolutely backed him in. But you hit the nail on the head, Ball. It was just a really bad error from the St Kilda defender. In that example, it just has to go high and long to the boundary, and even if it sails out and goes out of bounds as a last resort, it's a far better option than trying to hook it back into play and keeping the Geelong forwards in the game and alive. So it's certainly an error that they won't want to make again, but we can see for Geelong that the cream is certainly rising to the top. They're out to a game-high lead and certainly taking control of this one.
It's an 8th goal from turnover the Cats, so they've really tightened it up this quarter.
From the restart, Hanbury's involved. Handball to Marshall. Gets it back on the outside. Now a left foot kick inside the 50 from Ross. And De Koning's taken the mark. Got clipped on the top of the scone by Membry. And Sam De Koning, or if he can get to his feet, he will be waltzed up the ground. Just taking a moment to regain his composure. Replay of the contact. Oh, yeah, it's a fair old ear massage. I reckon Danny Frawley would be proud of that. So De Koning's taken all the way to halfway for Geelong. They've kicked the only 4 goals of this term. The Saints have added a minor score through Ben Long at the 4-minute mark, but haven't scored apart from that after the Cats only kicked 1 to the City end in the second term. Now Buse gets it from Menegola. Handball's off to Parfitt. 45 out. Kick closed down by Patton. Knocked it down. Parfitt dives in on top of it. Myers through the traffic. Almost showed them a clean pair of heels. Handball out to Dalhouse. To Holmes, who lines up the sticks. Fires at goal. He is brimming with confidence off the back of a contract extension and some very good footy. He couldn't find the finish on that occasion, but he pushes the margin out to 34.
Hill brings the ball back in, has a bounce in the right back pocket, and then just kicks short to find Crouch, who gives it back to Hill from right half back. Kicks along down the line. Owens has some work to do in the pack. Brought it to ground. Higgins almost pushed in the back. Umpire says play on. Menegola over the top of him. Forces a stoppage. Centre wing position out of side. Let's get down to Dan Miles on the boundary.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Dan Hanbury. He's come off looking a little bit proppy on the outer side, and he's going to have a bit of a seat. Nothing too serious, but the physio's going to have a look at his leg.
Not what they need, the Saints fans, Dan. Dan Hanbury's 16 games in 4 seasons in St Kilda colours. Last year, his contract this year. First game back for 11 months last week, and he was pretty good. So they'll be hoping that there's nothing too serious about that. Josh Battle's down there on the exercise bike as well. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling the action for you at Kilda Park. Luke Ball and Karen Peterson, your experts. Stanley controls it down in ruck. Parfitt blasts it to full forward. Cameron takes front spot in the pack. Or Webster, nervous moment, scooped up by Jeremy Cameron. How he picked that up, I'll never know. Got the handball away to Hawkins, dumped in a tackle. Holmes spins through, and the Saints will be rewarded for their pressure. Hawkins tried to drop it to his boot, but only found the turf, and Hunter Clark will take the free kick from the left back pocket. At the Adelaide Oval, 2 points in it. Early goal to the Power in the third term. Richmond 7-6 lead Port 7-4.
Hunter exits defensive 50 with the kick. Views with the fly, but Colin Jasny with the mark. Swings it across the 50. Menegola has marked 50 out from home. Searching kick into the pocket will bounce in front of Tui. That's a wonderful pick-up off the ground. Hand passes backwards to Stanley, who gives it back to Tui. From outside defensive 50, pokes a kick into the pocket where Myers has marked 40 from home.
How clean was that pick-up from Tui? That's That's unbelievable, particularly for a defender who's playing inside the forward 50. I'm not sure if he's lost or what's going on, but that's an unbelievable pickup and so clean with the ball. And then the composure to be able to find a teammate to then be able to chip back inside forward 50 was really impressive.
32-year-old on a cold night too was a real hammy tester, wasn't it?
So Myers kicked a ripper from the opposing pocket last week. This one favours his unorthodox kicking style, but it's across the face for a minor on this occasion. Geelong moved to 12-8-80. St Kilda 12-7-79 rather. St Kilda 7-2-44.
Just keep pushing that margin out. Sinclair whacks it in for the Saints. Long kick to Coning, reaches over the top of King. Marshall's involved. Won it down to Crouch. Handball along the boundary line to Higgins, who is wrapped up, going nowhere. 0437 774 774, the text line. Marilyn texted in earlier with a bit of a shout out to her mum, Flo. She texted he texted us instead of your mum, Marilyn. So maybe get on to mum if you can, because you've told us that you've given Flo a shout out on the radio, and we already knew that. So I think she'd like to know if she didn't hear it. So maybe direct a text in her direction. Bruce from Fitzroy is listening, enjoying the coverage, and especially Jess Webster's calling. Never heard her before. Great stuff. Well, Bruce, you'll hear plenty more of her in years to come, that is for sure. Long kick down the line from the Saints defence as Cameron floats in just in front of the wing for Geelong. He's really starting to get involved in this ball game. Here's the spearhead forward. Short to Holmes on the front point of the square. Holmes loads up, kicks as long as he can. Hawkins stayed down in the end. Fly came from Wilkie. Wood was there. Hawkins turns rover. Lost it in the tackle from Wood. Cam Guthrie slaps it around his body. Stengel hard up against the pocket. Pushed over as he got boot to ball. Out of bounds on the full. Saints will take it from left back pocket. Margin 35. As big as it's been in the game. 79 plays 44. We're 22 into the third.
Geelong have kicked the last 5 goals of the game either side of half-time. St Kilda with work to do. Long kick outside defensive 50. Off hands. Webster had a bit of a fumble. Dalhouse comes in. He's met heavily by Steele, and the umpire says that's high. Free kick going to Dalhouse, 49 metres from goal, right up against the boundary line.
The last 7 inside 50s, the Cats. Just feel like they're just holding up the damn wall at the moment, the Saints. Lost all their run, dare, and their ball movement.
Dalhouse just does the team thing, pitches it to the top of the square. They all fly close at the fall of the ball. He's stripped of it. It spills out the back to Clark. He's tackled by Close. The umpire says ball up 15 metres out from the Cats' goal.
23 minutes gone, third term. Cats by 35. Ball up top of the square. Marshall straight out of the ruck. Throws on the boot. It's an absolute sack outside the defensive 50. King found it out the back, paddled it to his own advantage and hacked it off the ground. Only as far as Stewart for Geelong. Handball to Stanley. Butler closed him down. Got him. Stanley sold the candy with the handball, and Dan Butler was hot to it, and he held out the ball and tried to milk a 50 and got it. He's had the umpire for breakfast there. He held out the football, threw it into the arms of Stanley and got the 50. Now he might try and milk another one.
Geez, that was cheeky. That was very cheeky. Well done by Butler, though. He played the game and the umpire fell for it, so unlucky Stanley.
Got to do what you got to do.
Just need to have a look. Did he knock it out of his hands? I mean, if he did...
Well, actually, you're right on the replay. He did swing the arm.
Well, if the ball was placed in front of my chest, I might just happen to knock it with my hand as well. So Dan Butler, he's going to hear it from the crowd if he misses this. This will be Bronx cheers all the way. 45 metres out, won't have the carry. Sharman's there, and it's seen through, and the Cats fans think maybe there's a little bit of justice in all of that. They're still goalless in this term, the Saints. 2 behinds. The Cats have kicked 4 goals, 2, and they lead it by 34 points, 24 gone in the third.
Just like last week, where the Cats kicked 8 goals in the third quarter to blow Western Bulldogs away. And getting the job done in the premiership quarter again is Stewart from the kick-in. Kicks long to the wing, but it's picked off by Wood of St Kilda. He wants to swing it across the ground. It's a dangerous kick looking for Hill, but it pays off. He's marked it right half forward. Chips short to Seb Ross. He's got it 70 from goal and chips further afield to Crouch. He's about 60 from home. Called to play on now. So Crouch just loads up. We'll send it to the top of the square. Membry in from the side. Oh, couldn't complete the mark. Then tackled Stewart, whose hand pass missed its target and goes over the line for a boundary throw-in. 20 metres around from St Kilda's goal. Dan Miles on the boundary.
Jess, Saints fans can breathe a sigh of relief. Dan Hanbury and Josh Battle were both doing fitness tests along the side here, but both have returned onto the field of play and are going to keep going.
Good news for the Saints. Ball inside their forward 50. They might hope for some more here if they can lock it in and find a score as Kolajasny backpedals over the boundary line to be thrown out of play at the Adelaide Oval. A couple of quick ones to Tom Lynch. Tigers with a 15-point advantage over Port Adelaide. 9 goals 7 to 7 goals 4. About as big as the lead. In fact, it is the biggest lead for the Tigers in the game so far. Steele chasing after the football from the throw-in for the Saints. Handball to Windhager. Defensive hand pass around the body now. Hanbury curls it to full forward and to Koning. Belts it through for a rushed score. And again draws the applause from the Cats fans here at Kardinia Park. 4 behinds for the Saints now in this term. In fact, make it 3. And the margin is 33 points the way of Geelong.
Stewart from the kick in. Finds Kolajasny in the left back pocket. He exits defensive 50 with a long kick, and coming through uncontested is Buse. Too easy in the end. Marks at left half back. Hand pass to Tui, who bangs it down the line, but playing in front is Patton of St Kilda, who marks defensive side of the wing and swings it inboard to Wilkie.
Any idea what the booing out there is about? Just trying to work out what on earth is going on with the Cats fans. Oh, Stengel almost ran down Brad Hill. Eventually a kick inside the forward 50, almost from Howard. Battle was up there. Handballs defensively, and Atkins runs it across the boundary line. Be thrown back into play. Dan downstairs.
Investigative journalist as well as boundary rider. The security guards took an inflatable Cats bullet ball. That might have been the source of the booze you're hearing.
Righto, nice news.
The fun police.
Yes, yeah, a little bit. Oh, hopefully the chants don't come up like the cricket, because it might be late on a Saturday night, but I'm not sure that's family friendly. As Crouch on the edge of the 50, pokes it inside the 50 to fall forward. Kolajasny gets a fist to that one. That one doesn't go through for a rush behind. It goes out of play. And it will be thrown back in. Deep forward. Saints into attack. Haven't kicked a goal here in this term. 3 behinds. The Cats have added 4 goals 2. They lead by 33 points, closing in on three-quarter time.
A late chance for St Kilda. Umpire flicks it back into play. It spills out the back to Ross, who just overran it and then is given away a free kick for high. So chance gone begging for St Kilda in the latter stages of this third term. Brandon Parfitt, the recipient of the free kick. 9
points now at the Adelaide Oval. Power of Nabdwan back through Zach Butters, so 8-4 Port Adelaide. Richmond 9-7. Big implications, of course, for that game on Saints fans tonight.
So Geelong share it in their back 50. And Stewart marks in the last line of defence.
So Stewart, lovely kick, dropped it into the bucket. Duncan just had to stretch a little bit too much. Hanbury got his head taken off by Jeremy Cameron. And that'll be a free kick. Going to the Saints. He's back on the ground, which is good news. Left foot kick into the pocket. Membry rises. Can't pull it in. De Koning closed down in the tackle by Owens. Didn't have much time to get rid of that. And we'll have a ball up left forward pocket. The Saints lock it inside their forward half.
Still time for a goal for St Kilda. Membry in the ruck. The ball spills out to Menengola. Hand passes to Stanley, who just whacks it on the boot and hacks it out of the danger zone. The bounce evades. Wilkie out the back is close. His hand pass is picked off by Sharman, who sends it back into forward 50 for St Kilda, but taking an excellent defensive Marcus Stanley. He's been good on his return from a knee injury.
Another goal for the Tigers, margin 15 points. Is there one last roll of the dice here for the Cats? They've kicked a late goal in every quarter so far. They've got 10 seconds to work with. Tui up the middle of Smith. Smith can really get things moving here for Geelong. He whacks it inside the 50. Close will be the target. It gets out the back and it beats Cameron running onto the ball. So there's no late goal for Geelong to end the third term. Brett Ratton exits the coach's box looking rather displeased with what he saw in that quarter. It was one in which St Kilda went goalless, adding 3 behinds to Geelong's 4 goals 2. And the Cats' 10-point half-time lead is translated into a 33-point advantage at three-quarter time. Geelong 12 goals 7-79, leading St Kilda 7-4-46 A win for the Cats tonight puts them a game clear atop the table at 16 and 4. 3 goals to Tom Hawkins in the game so far for the Cats, and a couple also going the way of Stengel, Cameron, Smith, Holmes, Henry, Tui, also with goals for Geelong. For the Saints, none in that third term, so Sinclair, Wood, Membry, Higgins, King and Butler have the goals for St Kilda. Three-quarter time here at Kardinia Park. It's a 33-point lead to Geelong. 12-7-79 to the Saints, 7-4-46. It'll take a mighty comeback for the Saints from here. The Cats just look to be building nicely toward, well, potentially locking in top spot with a couple of rounds to go. Final term coming up very soon on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand, AFL.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
Well, he said it left him feeling sick, distressed, and that he will live with the shame of having participated in some of it for the rest of his life.
And then he wrote on Instagram that he was at absolute rock bottom.
I was freaking out after the first one, whether I trained well enough.
It's impossible to understand. There's no sense of team.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the Listen app.
Imagine a painting of Australian landscape. Now, step inside.
This vast southern continent has captured the imagination of our artists for millennia.
Join Rachel Griffiths on an artistic quest deep into 6 masterpieces.
I'll travel to the exact spot where our beloved artists captured their iconic images.
Great Southern Landscapes.
There it is.
Starts Tuesday, August 9 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership Season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Stanley's marked his face just forward of the wing. Wheels around inboard, sends a long one to the pocket. Hawkins and Cameron are there. Neither could take the mark. Spills out the back, tumbles to the top of the square. Cameron off the deck. He's got it home.
Cameron collects down low. 55 out. Vacant goal square. He centres it up. He got dumped after he kicked it. And it'll be a free kick downfield to Hawkins. Kick 2 in the first term to this end. He's got 3, has Tom Hawkins.
Saints have coughed it up. Atkins throws it on the boot towards full forward. It's off hands at the ball. The ball, Henry. Hand passes to Smith. Left foot snap in the forward pocket. Got it. Geelong out to a new game-high lead. And Kilda have the numbers out the back. Patton paddles to himself and then shanks it off the boot straight to Holmes, who marks 50 out from goal. So this to make things very difficult for St Kilda. Holmes from 50 out. What a strike from Max Holmes.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership Season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time here at Kardinia Park. Geelong turned a 10-point half-time lead into a 33-point three-quarter time advantage with 4 goals in that term. They lead 12-7-79 to 7-4-46 at the Adelaide Oval. Richmond's also kicked 4 goals to start the third term. It's 11-7-73 to put Adelaide 8-4-52. A Richmond win and a St Kilda loss will see the Tigers replace the Saints inside the 8. The thoughts of Luke Ball and Kieran Peterson very shortly. Let's go downstairs to Dan Miles. Dan.
Joel, some breaking news down here on the boundary. There's been a substitution made for the St Kilda Saints. Zach Jones is coming into the game. Dan Hanbury ran off at three-quarter time, made his way down the opposite race and hasn't emerged. But Zach Jones has the tracksuit off and will be suiting up for the Saints for this final quarter.
Good on you, Dan. Thank you. Bawley and Kez. Geelong really pressed the advantage home in that third term, and now having made the sub, it might get a little bit tougher for the Saints.
Yeah, look, I mean, that quarter was really all Geelong. They kicked the last 5 goals of the game and went on their merry way, and they did exactly the same thing last week against the Dogs. They sort of padded along until half-time and then really put the foot down. And, it's not the usuals for Geelong, which is quite surprising, but also a little bit impressive and I guess a warning sign for all the teams that they're about to play, and particularly those that are coming up against the Cats in September. So obviously without Dangerfield and Selwood and Blitzarves and who aren't playing here tonight. It's been, Parfitt and Menegola, and I mean, Zach Tui's come back in and been really impressive. I still can't work out if he's playing as a defender or a forward or a hybrid or, if he just grabbed the magnet and threw it and said, I'm just going to do what I want, because he's been leading as a forward, and he, really impressive, clean work, particularly below his knees, and he's been a terrific option for them. Tom Stewart has also been really impressive, particularly in that third quarter. Just then, he started the game really slowly. He was a little bit sloppy. He gave away a couple of free kicks that is really uncharacteristic of him. And I mean, the sign of a really good player, and particularly one that is as important to Geelong as what he is the sign of him working into the game and working through a really poor start and really imposing himself. And Isaac Smith as well got off the chain a little bit. We mentioned through the game that he just gets better as the game goes, and he found himself in a lot of space in that third term. So, Geelong are doing what we expect of Geelong, and for St Kilda, it's a bit of a shame because they did start so well, Bally, in that first half, and what we were really impressed with was their pressure rating, and they were forcing Geelong into errors in the first half and really controlling possession off the back line, but just overwhelmed in that third term by Geelong's pressure and their ability to set up really well behind the ball. And the matchup that I've really enjoyed watching, and I'm sure it's one that us as viewers of footy and all the fans out there are going to continue to enjoy for the next probably 8 to 10 years, is the Sam De Koning v Max King matchup. And at the moment, the Chocolates have got to go to Sam De Koning. He's been terrific. He's had 10 touches and a number of intercept possessions and spoils and things that you just want your key defenders to do. And the thing that really impresses me, and I know it impresses other people around the industry, is just the composure that the kids got after, I think, Joel, you said 19 games. So the signs are really good for Geelong. It's not something that they'd be happy with, where they've just been able to turn the tap on and off as far as their game style. They've been up and down a little bit, but the fact that they can do it, and when they're ready to go, they're on, and the cream rises to the top as it did in that third term.
Can be pretty ominous as an opposition side coming up against the Cats. So 12 goals in the last 2 weeks in third quarters, and they put the foot down to lead by 33 as the final term starts. Stanley wins the opening ruck tap and then sends it out wide to Holmes on the wing, goes inside the 50. Hawkins almost with one hand brings it down to himself, handballs it off, and they've kept on moving it to Smith, who accepts the handball from Brian Myers and puts through his third. And if the third term wasn't enough, the Cats are off to a lightning start in the last as well. And the margin's now out to a game-high 39. 13-7, 85 to St Kilda, 7-4, 46. And the evergreen Isaac Smith just continues to prove his worth.
Yeah, good centre bounce work there from the Cats, just to be able to surge the ball forward. Nothing pretty, but it was at Holmes again. Geez, I've liked his game. He's just he's a magnificent athlete, isn't he? We know his great strengths are his running ability. He's added so much to this Geelong team this year, and he was able to get spread from that clearance and get out on the Saints mids and pump the ball forward. Hawkins involved again. He's such a terrific goal assist player as he is, prolific goal kicker. So perfect start to the Cats for this last quarter.
From the middle, Crouch kicks off the ground towards the wing. Zach Jones, the medical sub, dives for the footy. Can't collect it, and then lays a tackle on Atkins to force a stoppage. Centre wing position out of side.
At the Adelaide Oval, Richmond kicked away. Game high 27-point lead to the Tigers. They kicked 5 in the third term. 12-8-80. They lead Port Adelaide 8-5-53 late in the third quarter.
It's 39 points the way of Geelong early in this final quarter here at Cardinia Park. Windhager just hacks it down the line, and then the umpires found a free kick for a push going against Higgins. And Duncan with the footy at right half back for Geelong.
So Mitch Duncan rolls across half back with a bounce. Goes low inside the defensive 50 on the bounce to Stewart. Now to O'Connor. They control it out by foot to Zach Guthrie. Now Kolajasny's on the wing. The Tasmanian in game 150. Marks defensive side of the wing. Rolls around onto his right boot, sends a long kick around the boundary line, and Marshall floats in from the side and takes a good mark. He was prolific last week. He hasn't had the same impact on this occasion. As Webster goes short to Hill, called to play on the edge of the defensive 50. He goes short by hand to Sinclair. He generates some bounce for the Saints off half-back. Sends a long kick out wide to Membry. Stewart fists it away, finds the safety of the boundary line. Centre wing on the Hickey stand side. Cats by 39 points with the first goal of the final term. They've got the last 6 of the game.
Umpire flicks the ball back into play. Marshall wrestles with Stanley, who wanted the free kick for a hold. The umpire says play on. Cam Guthrie kicks off the turf. Myers traps it at half forward, skies a ball inside forward 50. And Sharman with the tap sends it over. The spoiler rather sends it over the line for a boundary throw in, 50 around from goal. Geelong by 39, 3.5 played in this final term.
Dan Hanbury subbed out of the game for the Saints. So second game of the year. Returned last week. And been subbed out of the game at three-quarter time. Zach Jones, who is the sub, laid the tackle there, but it was taken by Hawkins. To Menegola around the body from 45 metres out. Bounces it through for a behind. So 1-1 to start this final term for the Cats. 13-8, plays 7-4. The margin is an even 40 points 4 minutes into the last.
Sinclair quick to bring it in for the Saints and finds Wood in the back pocket, who's absolutely made a meal of that kick. Sends it out of bounds on the full. Free kick going to Zach Tui. 55 around from goal at left half forward. Called to play on. Not sure where to go, and then just pulls the kick into the pocket. Hawkins comes charging out. Got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Wilkie out the back for the Saints. Hand passes back to Sharman, who gives it to Clark on the last line of defence. Sends it outside defensive 50, but it's all Geelong again. Tui marks and then chips inboard and finds Stewart.
So Stewart, 15th game of the year. He'll play 17 provided he plays the next two as well to end the home and away season. Will be in All-Australian contention, no doubt. Inside the forward 50, Stengel to Holmes. Holmes to Guthrie, who shoots a goal and bounces it through for a throw. And is he in your All-Australian team, Bawley? Tom Stewart, even though he's missed 5?
No, missed too many. I haven't got the other list of names in front of me, but I think if you miss up to almost a quarter of the season, it's probably too many.
Ball to spin back into play. Inside forward 50 for the Cats. Jones to Howard. Tumbles and spirals a kick outside the defensive 50. Stanley reaches over the top of Membry, slaps it toward the boundary line. Battle almost saw it out. Henry tried to help it on its way. It ricochets around. Hill got a boot to it. Found King on the outer side wing. He tries to ride the bump. Dispossessed by Kolajasny. Ball back in Cat's hands through Henry.
He hand passes to Atkins, who gives it to Stewart, and short kick to Isaac Smith in a world of space inside the centre square. Time enough to measure a pass inside 50. I think Hawkins slipped, and Howard takes the defensive mark for the Saints. Gives it to Marshall, who kicks out wide to Wood. Hand passes inboard to Sinclair, who's running to Stewart. Forced with the hand pass to Jones, who put him under pressure. Tackled to the ground by Guthrie, holding the ball.
Hospital handball from Jack Sinclair there. Zach Jones is trying to get his hands on the footy, having just come on.
Interesting, a little bit of frustration creeping in for the Cats in the last forward 50 entry between Smith and Hawkins. Kick in the direction of Smith there. Surely had enough of it. Marshall did enough to worry him out of it right at the last moment. Webster's kick, he got it away. He was upended by a fast-closing Tyson Stengel, so the ball will be in the hands of Battle on the outer side, fresh off a 2-year extension during the week. Career best season in a contract year, always a handy thing to have, as Hill kicks inside the forward 50, straight to the opposite number 8. In Kolajasny, who whips it across the back 50. Duncan marked it in the nick of time, and he's off and racing. Shoots the kick short, juggled by Dalhouse as they continue to run the Cats.
Duncan kept running, received the hands, and then kicks short and finds Smith on the edge of the centre square. Goes to Guthrie, who cops one high from Hill. Will take the free kick at centre half forward. The numbers stream back inside forward 50, so Guthrie elects to just swing it across to Zach Guthrie, his brother, from right half forward. Delivers beautifully into the pocket to Cameron on the lead.
Nice footy from the Cats. I mean, the game's really opened up now. It's genuine junk time. What are we? Only 7 minutes into the last quarter. It's going to be a long last quarter, this one, Joel, but opportunity for the Cats to hone some of their attacking ball movement, because it's pretty uncontested free-flowing footy at the moment.
Jeremy Cameron, 40 out for 7 in a row. Geelong are marching towards the minor premiership. Lead out to 46 points, 14-8-92 to 7-4-46. 8 minutes played, final term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Peterson and Luke Ball.
It was just very, very pretty ball movement. We've seen the same thing over and over for the Cats. It's a little bit rinse and repeat, where They get the ball forward of centre. No options are really obvious for them. They're able to whip the ball from one side of the ground to the other, and the way that they're weighting the kicks to their forward. So for Jeremy Cameron, he didn't even really have to work all that hard to run onto that one. He took a very easy chest mark, but it was because the Cats are prepared to be able to flick the ball around straight across the ground and put it to the open side, and for Cameron that's as easy as it gets, and a really terrific finish on his left around the corner.
I think he's the best exponent of that kick in the game, isn't he, Jeremy Cameron? From all distances.
Does it beautifully. Has his moments, of course, but he's pretty dead-eye with that around the body. He's got some tricks in the bag, that's for sure. 56 on the season now, so within 3 of Charlie Coleman, who leads the Coleman race, and Charlie Curnow, who leads the Coleman race. Probably want to win one before you actually call him Charlie Coleman.
Looking like Charlie Coleman at the moment, though, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. Got the beach ball back down there, I reckon, the Cats fans. That's keeping them entertained at the moment. Here's Myers through the stoppage, dances his way, kicks inside the forward 50 and peeling off to Marcus Sharman, who started the game forward. He's been swung back here in this second half. He's shown plenty. He outlets to Zach Jones at left half-back. Cats by 46. They've doubled the Saints' score. We're 9 minutes into the final term.
Zach short to Sinclair. Man passes to Patton, who gives it to Windhager. Just got the hand pass free looking for Hill, but they've turned it over. Myers. Hand passes to Dalhouse, close to the centre circles, who gives it to Close, and they're away. Hand passes to Stengel. His kick partially smothered. Had Cameron free all alone in the pocket. Still time for Stengel to regather. Hand passes to Cameron in the pocket. That kick's not a very good one. It bounces in front of Close, who runs away from Wilkie and sends another one through the big sticks. Oh, they're turning it on here at home, Geelong. They move to 15-8-98. St Kilda 7-4-46. The margin's now blown out to 52 points, 8 in a row, 10 minutes into the last. Luke Ball, your expert on Grandstand AFL.
Well, there's an opportunity, isn't there, for the Cats forwards to get on the end of one. It was just, overused, poor handball. I think it was young Owens who's tried hard today, but the Saints streaming through the middle of the ground. It just kills you, doesn't it? That handball to ground, instead of really putting it on looking after the footy, putting it on your teammate's chest, and Cats sweating on the turnovers. That's what do they kick? 10 goals from turnovers today, the Cats. So there's certainly been more of that as the game's gone along. And
10 of 15.
Yeah, that's right. The forwards, smart forwards, just hanging out the back, sweating on the turnover, and they could have raffled it then.
Big numbers for the Cats. And they're just continuing to run the score up. Tui out of the middle now. Finds Henry at left half forward. It is all Geelong here in this second half. Henry into the pocket looking for Cameron. Can't find him. And it goes out of play. So Geelong kicked the last goal of the first half. That was through... it was a behind, in fact, to... it was a goal, in fact, to Mitch Duncan. So they kicked the last goal of the first half. And they've kicked the next 8 as well. The next 9, in fact. It's 10 in a row for the Cats. It has been a blistering effort, much like it was last week against the Dogs. As the Saints exit the defensive 50, Henry got a hand to it. Membry ended up with it. The Kings pushed up the ground, got it away to Clark. He's kicked down the line, taken away by Guthrie. It's Zach Guthrie for the Cats.
Kicks in board and finds Duncan inside the centre square. Geelong by 52 points. Swings it across the back 50 to Zach Guthrie. Flares it out wide to Buse. Chips over the top to Smith, who's marked on the outer wing. Chips further afield to Myers, who's got it between wing and half forward on the outer side. Wheels around and finds Atkins by foot at right half forward. Just doing it a little bit too easy here, the Cats. So Atkins looking for an option inside forward. 50, spears it low into the pocket. It bounced in front of Cameron and he goes over the line. The Cameron thought he took the mark. Then there's going to be a conference, I think. No, the umpire says it will be a ball in 49 metres out from Geelong's goal.
8 in a row for the Cats, Jess.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to say it.
No, it's, I was corrected by my maths teacher plenty clearly, so you could have jumped in there and given me a chop out. There's Menegola. Handball's back to Smith. Long has a moment with the footy. Taken away by Menegola. Half forward now. Dalhouse inside the forward 50. Handball too hot for Smith. Long takes it away. Handball to Crouch. Handball to Jones. Off half-back come the Saints through Patton and now Hill as they come up the corridor. Membry's all alone at right half-forward. Battles inside the forward 50 now, but Zach Guthrie leads the race to the footy. All too easily, marks uncontested in the end, and the Cats will build it off half-back, and again it's Mitch Duncan involved.
Hand passes to Holmes, is running a bit of trouble, but just got the hand pass out to O'Connor. He goes back to Holmes and kicks out wide to Smith, who's marked in front of the interchange gates. Loops a hand pass over the top to Dalhouse, has Parfitt further afield and goes to him by hand. At left half forward, wheels around, sends it into the corridor, and they tangle, and the umpire's found a free kick to Menangola. 30 out, directly in front.
Just, the turnover again. His memory on that occasion there. Leader of the club, he just needs to be better. I know it's late in the game, the sting's gone out of it, but really, really poor kick inside 50, and just created another opportunity for the Cats to go coast to coast. Saints didn't touch it again, and deserves this set minute goal. I thought he set the game up. I thought his first quarter was terrific at 9 possessions and can reward himself here.
22 disposals, equal team high, 9 score involvements, and add a goal to his stat sheet. Sam Menegola continues the pain for St Kilda. Geelong 16-8-104 to the Saints 7-4-46. 15 played final term. Karen Peterson and Luke Ball, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
You'd be really disappointed as a Saints fan, I think, tonight. They've completely dropped their bundle, and, you know, despite the fact that the sting has gone out of the game, Ball, as you just mentioned, you still want to see your team, you know, particularly a team that's, you know, on the verge of a finals berth, really fighting and continuing to, I guess, to scrap and make the best of the situation that's in front of them. And at the moment, they may as well be witches' hats out there. The way that, or the ease that Geelong is able to move the ball with at the moment is a real training drill. And, you know, I'm sure the Cats players and the Cats fans alike are enjoying this, but certainly for St Kilda, it's been a really disappointing second half of footy.
10 goals to 3 after half-time last week for Geelong. 8 goals to zip after half-time this week. That's 9 goals and counting, Jess, in a row for the Cats. Let's go downstairs to Dan.
Joel just confirming the injury to Dan Hanbury's a left ankle, so he's been subbed out with the left ankle.
Well, at least it's not soft tissue. I think that might be the silver lining to that rather dark cloud for Saints fans. Hill shoots it out to Sinclair, down the line to King, and it's smashed away by De Koning. Again.
Very, very appreciated by his teammates as well. You can see them all get over to him and tell him how well he did just then.
As a defender, Kez, you must love watching him.
It's super exciting. I mean, I think the attention that he's getting, and, you know, as a defender, it's really great to hear the conversation about, you know, really skilled defenders.
Throw in on the wing, still wins the clearance for St Kilda. Tumbles a kick inside forward 50. Stewart out the back for the Cats. Kicks out wide to Atkins through his hands and spills over the line for a throw-in 48 metres around from Saints' goal. Jess Webster and Joel Peterson calling the action this evening. Karen Peterson and Luke Boyer experts, and Dan Miles on the boundary. The Cats by 58.
Sorry, just to cut you off. Just the exciting thing about that is he's not a midfielder. He's a key position player that's come on and made an impact straight away.
Yeah, he's doing some very good things. The stoppage inside the defensive 50. Atkins, a wonderful pickup from Stengel on the bounce. At full pace, just took it under his arm, put it under the wing and kept on running. Kicked down the line, let him down though. Wilkie and Sharman sorted it out for the Saints. Now Butler's got it at centre half forward for St Kilda. Goes inside the 50, battles the target, stretches up, can't mark, brought it down. Higgins snaps. That's a really clean finish. And at the 16-minute mark of the final term, the Saints have got their opening goal of the second half. It's taken 45 minutes of football, and they finally break through to narrow the gap to 52 points. And it's been, well, a very disappointing second half for the Saints. Nice finish from Jack Higgins there. 8-4-52 St Kilda. Geelong double that exactly. 16-8-104. 17 gone in the final term.
Yeah, toughish day for small forwards from the Saints. He had a bright start, Jack Higgins. Kicked the goal early in the first quarter, but really it's been pretty bare since then. And third quarter, where the game was up for grabs a bit, I thought the Geelong back six were really able to steady things and get, you know, well and truly on top. And yeah, I mean, it can be a tough ask at times for the small forwards, can't it, when the ball's not coming down as much. But overall, they've been pretty soundly beaten, the Saints forwards.
That Higgins goal breaking a run of 9 in a row.
9, Jess.
Joel and I, I'm not the best at math.
One of us can count, and that's good, and it's not me.
We're doing our best. It's Geelong swinging across the ground, and that kick from Duncan's not a good one to half forward. Ross hand passes to Sinclair. He gives it to Windhager from the wing, chips it into the path of Hill, bounces in front of him, but instead the bounce favours Duncan. He hand passes backwards to O'Connor, who's tackled brilliantly by Steele, brings him to ground, forces a stoppage just forward of the wing. Saints into attack. They trail by 52. 18 minutes played, final term.
0437 774 774, the text line. We're with you till 10:30 Eastern. If you're a Saints fan, you've got a question for Kez or Bally, 0437 774 774. Equally, if you're a Cats fan, pleased with what you've seen so far. His battle, he's got his right leg absolutely strapped up, a mattress on there. He copped a corky earlier in the game. Sinclair's closed down by Henry. He just get it away. He did in the nick of time at half forward for the Saints. Long plays tunnel ball, gets it out to Hill, now to Butler inside the forward 50. Mark taken by Windhager, 45 metres out, as good as directly in front.
He's a good young player. This guy has certainly been a find for the Saints this year. I think, regardless of what happens now, I'd love to see him in the centre bounce a lot more. He's a nice size. He had, this will be possession 17 tonight and 6 tackles. So certainly has a crack, and he's one that looks like he's got a lot of promise for the Saints.
Here's a bright spark in this St Kilda lineup. He misses his shot away to the right. So he had 23 touches a couple of weeks ago against the Eagles. He came in round 4. He's played every game since apart from round 18. He's really cemented his spot in the side. 51 points is the Cats' lead. 53 plays 104.
Tui with the kick-in duties for the Cats, and you were right, Kez. He's played everywhere tonight.
Well, he lined up on the wing.
Out.
Last centre bounce, he lined up on the wing. So
kicked their first goal.
I'm still not too sure where he's playing, but I actually don't mind it. I might have a crack at it myself.
So, long kick outside, defensive 50s marked by Holmes. Defensive side of the wing. Wants to use the runner in O'Connor, who hand passes to Duncan. And that's a short kick and finds Hawkins, 70 out from home. He chips further afield for Smith, who's marked 55 out close to the boundary. He's kicked 3 goals tonight, Isaac Smith. And sends it to the top of the square, and Zach Guthrie has a fly. Pulls in the mark, 30 from home, directly in front.
He's got some excited teammates. I get the sense that we just have a look how many career goals Zach Guthrie's kicked 5, so this might be the first of the year. Anyway, he's one of those when the defender sneaks down and plucks one in the forward 50 and gets opportunity to kick a goal. Just watch if this one goes through. I reckon there'll be 17 teammates come to him as he heads back to his position.
So they're all gearing up for this one. Jeremy Cameron raises his fists in celebration as Zach Guthrie sends through a goal, and Jeremy Cameron's pretty happy about that. And get around the youngster. Margin back out to 57, Geelong 17, 810, St Kilda 8, 553 as we tick into time onto the final term.
The most underwhelming thing about that was that his defensive teammates all just turned his back.
And now he has to come to the bench.
Yeah. He's going to get a nice applause here from the Geelong faithful, so that's
Someone's
always
giving
good.
him some love.
But yeah, geez, that'd be... Come on, defenders, what are you doing?
Boys, get around me, yeah.
He's had
improved
a good
player. No,
yeah.
he is, yeah. He's really, he's sort of, up
He was
until this
forever the
year,
sub,
he
wasn't
was,
he?
yeah, or in or out of the team a bit, but no, he's very much a consolidated part of that back 6 or 7 for the Cats this year, so approaching 50 games, so starting to, really feel at home out there, and he's been one of the, another key reason as to their improvement this year, the Cats.
Sunbury product. 34-point lead to Richmond at three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval 2. So the Tigers have well and truly kicked away from Port. They're going to replace the Saints in the 8 the way things are going. So it's a big swing. St Kilda with Brisbane and Sydney to come too. Richmond's draw and run home a lot softer than that.
The Bombers haven't had the last game, so that might be it. I think that might be the last change.
Yep, so they've got Hawthorn and Essendon.
Yep.
And the Dogs lost to Freo today. Makes it pretty difficult for them. Nice mark from Wilkie.
Just the form too, sorry, Joel. I mean, Richmond are in, they did it the hard way last week, but certainly in the best form out of that group. So they, as you tend to do, you finish where you deserve to finish, don't you?
It could be a bit of a danger team in the finals. We'll unpack all of that through until 10:30 Eastern here on Grandstand AFL. 0437 774 774. If you've got a question for Karen Peterson or Luke Ball. We'll take a look at a big day of footy to come tomorrow. Meanwhile, a stoppage on the wing. Hickey stand side. Geelong 110, St Kilda 53. 22 minutes gone here in this final term.
From the ball up, Holmes collects. Tackled by Hill. Just got boot to ball. Tumbles a kick towards half forward. Sharman leads the race against Close. But heads over the boundary line for a throw-in. 60 around from Geelong's goal at right half forward. The margin's 57 points. Less than 5 minutes to play in this final term. It's been some performance again by Geelong at home. As Stanley lays a tackle on long and forces a stoppage 52 metres out from the Cats' goal.
Stanley and Marshall, they're getting some entertainment from the beach ball down there. Still the Cats fans in front of us. Long wheels away. Handball to Higgins for the Saints. Kicks up to half forward. Wood gets upstairs. Takes a good mark in front of Kolodjasny. One who can hold his head high for the Saints tonight. Rolls immediately on the left boot. Sends it inside the 50. Oh, King climbed the ladder. Couldn't pluck it out of the sky. He got two hands to it as he came leaping over the top. And it came out of his grasp as he hit the deck. That was Max King trying to make his imprint on the game this evening in terms of the highlight reel. The Cats have got it on the outer side. Stengel kicks up the line, and it's a good mark taken out there by Marshall to intervene for St Kilda.
Swings it inboard to Webster, who's marked on the point edge of the square, and chips short to Hill. Chips inboard to Patton, who's marked defensive side of the centre circles, and flares it out wide to Ross, who's marked on the logo. Oh, his kick is smothered off the boot by Smith. Atkins comes in. He couldn't go with it. Now Patton collects for the Saints, gives it to Steele from centre wing. Kicks up towards half forward, and Butler against Stewart. Stewart brings it to ground. Stengel out the back. Hand passes backwards to O'Connor, who sends it back to where it came. A high ball to the wing. Patton sits underneath it for the Saints, and he's off. Has a bounce. Oh, he's going to run into trouble. Tackled by Parfitt, holding the ball, and I think that sums up St Kilda's night.
It was a bright start, and then it all unravelled from there. And that was an awful kick from Tui, a rare mistake from him. Cut off by Hill, kicks inside the 50. Jeremy Cameron spoiling in defence and then collecting it in front of the scoreboard almost. He leans over the fence, has a chat to a few Cats fans out there. Ball will be spun back into play. Geelong by 57, 25 and a half gone, final term. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you here on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital as Jess throws her pen up and tries to catch it. Didn't do that all that well, Jess. Just quietly, a little bit of behind the scenes there as Owens now kicks inside the forward 50, and that's sprayed out of bounds on the full. Zach Guthrie will bring it back into play.
So nearing full time here in Geelong. The fans with a beach ball in the crowd and us throwing our pens here in the commentary box. It's a long kick down the wing, off hands. Steele, hand passes to Clark. Kicks a dribbler along the ground. Parfitt picks it up. He gives it to Menengola. His kick smothered out of bounds for a throw-in. Centre wing position out of side. Geelong by 57. 26 played final term.
Tigers by 34 at the Adelaide Oval. Earlier today, Hawthorn, GWS, Fremantle. The victors after Collingwood's come from behind win over Melbourne last night. Hill out wide to Clark. Juggled by Long for the Saints at left half forward. 70 from home. On the right boot to the pocket. O'Connor has the run at this. Knocks it away from King. Collected by Zach Guthrie. Handball to Cam Guthrie, who steps it across the boundary line and will be tossed back into play.
Pretty even performance, isn't it, from the Cats? Every player in double-figure possessions. Barr or Jack Henry on 9. So let's see if we can get him to 10. Every player from the Cats in double-figure possessions. It's been that sort of night. No one's really stood out. They've all had their moments and done their bit.
Ball back into play. Spills to Steele, who hooks it around the corner from 45, right to the line. And that's marked by Membry. So he's marked right on the goal line. We'll have to go back on an angle and kick this one around the corner. So Tim Membry has played a bit up forward, a bit in defence tonight. And he slots that through for his second of the evening. A late consolation prize for the Saints. Geelong 17-8, 110. The Saints 9-5, 59. 28 minutes played. Final term on Grandstand AFL.
Tried hard, I think. Tim Memory's only one of the Saints' best. Certainly that second quarter, he had 10 possessions. He was one of the ones that got them going. But like his team, certainly haven't been able to maintain it throughout the duration of the game. But he gets a nice bit of reward there for his work rate. Can never question that. Always works hard. But you just got the sense as the game went on that just the gap in class across the ground. We know there's some young players out there from the Saints. I mean, there's some young players out there for the Cats as well. Certainly one of the strengths of their team this year. They've had a great balance between youth and obviously their experienced champion players.
So ball back in the middle. Marshall wins it down. Cats by 51. Cam Guthrie bursts away. The All-Australian of a couple of years ago kicks to half forward. Close. Pushed off it by Clark. Scooped up by Dalhouse to Myers inside 50. Hawkins slides out. Couldn't take it with him. Sinclair scoots around and picks it up for the Saints. Beautiful releasing kick. Drops it in front of Steele, who runs the broadcast side wing. Cuts it inboard. Looking for Membry. Knocked down by Stanley. King lost his footing. Handball knocked down by O'Connor for the Cats. Now back looking for Dalhouse. Ross fires in. Dalhouse is in on top of him. Brad Crouch takes it away for St Kilda. Handball to Owens, to Jones, inside the 50, to Koning again. He thumps it away from the hapless Saints forwards. He's been a pillar back there tonight. He has been for much of the season.
I reckon he's a crowd favourite.
Absolutely, and why not? He forces a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Saints.
I think he'd be high up in the Rising Star voting. Of course, Dacos has had a wonderful year, but De Koning has been sensational. Umpire flicks the ball back into play. Geelong win the clearance through Menegola. Outside defensive 50. Spills to ground. Jones has a go now. Steele. He's tackled heavily by Cameron into the turf. Forces a stoppage. 45 out from the Saints goal.
Some good defensive efforts this quarter from Jeremy Cameron. That'll please the coaching staff. It doesn't mean his best night, that's for sure, but he's worked hard back into defence and some really good efforts.
Batted away by Henry, picked off by Hill. Hand passes backwards to Sharman from left half forward. Kicks into the pocket and long marks. A good contested mark in the end with Dalhouse bearing down. He's got it 40 from home, 5 metres in from the boundary. So it hasn't been St Kilda's night. They could finish here with 3 of the last 4 goals if Long can bend it around the corner. And that's a classy finish there from Long. On the full-time siren here at Cardinia Park, it was all Geelong. They flexed their muscles to go a game clear on top, marching towards September with 11 in a row. 45-point winners over the Saints.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. At home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark. Down at Cardinia Park.
The Saints were in the contest early. They kicked the opening goal of the game and trailed by 10 points at half-time. But just like they did against the Western Bulldogs last week, Geelong made the most of the premiership quarter, kicking 4 goals to none in the third. At one stage, they kicked 9 in a row before the Saints finished with 3 of the last 4. Geelong making a statement in the back end of the year. They win 17-8, 110 to 10-5, 65.
We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. At home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark. Down at Cardinia Park.
11 in a row for the Cats. They haven't lost since the Saints beat them in round 9. 16-4 on the season. And as Jess Webster told you, they go a game clear atop the AFL table. 17-8, 110 to 10-5, 65. Kicking 9 goals 3 to 3 goals 4. After half-time, they turned a 10-point half-time advantage into a 45-point breakaway win. Tom Hawkins kicked 3 for the Cats. Isaac Smith kicked 2. Jeremy Cameron kicked 2. Goals also to Menegola, to Tui, to Close, to Zach Guthrie, to Jack Henry, to Mitch Duncan and to Max Holmes. For St Kilda, 2 each to Membry and Higgins. 1 to Sinclair, to Wood, to Ben Long, to Dan Butler, Max King and Jack Steele. So full-time here at Cardinia Park, 17-8, 110 Geelong to St Kilda, 10-5, 65. The other game tonight is Richmond by 25 points over Port Adelaide. So the loss will be compounded for Saints fans if the Tigers hold on. That means that Richmond will replace St Kilda inside the 8 with 2 rounds to go. The Cats have got Gold Coast away, West Coast at home to come. St Kilda has got Brisbane and Sydney to finish off the season. Commonwealth Games wrap in the next half hour for you. We'll head into the Cats rooms and get some reaction as soon as we can. And, of course, the thoughts of our experts. Any of your questions as well, 0437 774 774 is the text line, 0437 774 774. But a big win of the Cats, 45 points. Luke Ball and Kieran Peterson to break it down for you on Grandstand AFL.
Just listening to Jake Kolodjasny, the 150 game. I'd imagine that'd get him life membership, as it does usually with most clubs. Been a really solid citizen, hasn't he? It's interesting. I mean, his older brother, or twin brother.
I think older.
Yeah, maybe older. Anyway, he was the higher draft pick, wasn't he, Cade? Yep. He went to the Gold Coast Suns, and he unfortunately had his career ended early due to concussion issues. But yeah, he was the top 10 pick. Jake went a bit further down the track, but 150 games, it's a really, really good effort, and he's become a really valuable player, hasn't he? He can play on tall, he can play on small, and he was solid again tonight. As we mentioned, he was one of several contributors across
41st pick of that 2013
there
draft.
You go.
And I lied, he was a twin.
Yeah, I reckon Cade was picked 6 to the Gold Coast Suns. So it just shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, I reckon he was.
Number 5, and then traded to Melbourne.
Yep, and 27 on Tuesday as well for Jake Kolodjasny, so he's having a good time.
Yeah, so credit to him. And look, it's also a credit to this club, isn't it? It's just been a remarkable club, really, for the best part of 2 decades now, and they're able to attract talent, draft talent, and develop it really well. And well done to Jake Kolodjasny. He's terrific athlete. He's just that modern player, isn't he? He's sort of 6'3", can play on tall and small, as I said. And he's going to become he has been a really important player for them, and will be for the rest of the year. But well, Kez, it was just a solid performance, wasn't it? Didn't reach any great heights. You certainly never felt that they were in any danger, even with that sort of second quarter fade out. And if you were being critical, I guess you'd say that they're still searching for a 4-quarter performance, and they are having lapses in games where it does look like they just shift back into sort of second or third gear. And that's something, I guess, from the coaching staff point of view, it's something that they can continue to work on. And Chris Scott's been very clear in the fact that if they play like they are now, they're not going to win the premiership. They know they have to improve between now and the end of September. So that in a sense, that gives them something to really work on and build on throughout the week. But I mean, 3 players out, including their superstar right before the game, just didn't worry them. We know they've got such a deep squad. They get great contributions across the board. Brandon Parfitt came into the midfield tonight with some of those experienced players going out. I thought he stood up. Menegola played his best game for a while, and that's the youngsters like Holmes and Zach Guthrie that are really, really improving now and driving this club forward, and Stengel, who are adding bits and pieces that they've probably missed over the last couple of years that's meant that they haven't quite been able to get from 3rd, 4th. And it sounds a bit silly, doesn't it, say, but towards that premiership glory that they're chasing. So look, to me, they're the best, most consistent team. Clearly they've won 11 in a row. They've shown that, and the result on Friday night, they are still in the pole position from my point of view. But we're still with work to do over the next 5 or 6 weeks. They do have that ability to really, shift gears and put the foot down. We saw it last week against the Bulldogs. Especially here, we know they're really hard to beat. So the challenges will come when they head up the highway to the MCG. But for now, they're doing what they need to do. They get through the game unscathed, I think, from an injury point of view. So, pretty professional performance from the Cats tonight, I thought, Kez.
I think there's going to be some unlucky Cats players who are going to miss out next week. I think That's certainly for a discussion a bit later on. You'd imagine, probably Dalhouse is probably one that'll come out. He was obviously a late in and will make way for. Well, you'd imagine Selwood and Dangerfield and Blitzarves will come back in.
Gary Rowan's another one.
Gary Rowan as well.
Playing, so, yeah, they're deep, aren't they? They bat really deep and they are getting really good contributions. Myers, Close, Stengel. It's a pretty packed forward half, isn't it? And it is keeping guys like Luke, premiership players like Luke Dalhouse out of the team. So, no, they're in a good spot. They're sitting pretty. I think where do they go next week?
They've got the Suns
next week, so that'll be a nice test for them. Travelling, getting away, they'll see that as a nice test, and I think they close out the year here against the Eagles. So,
and this hasn't been a happy hunting ground for the Eagles in the last couple of times they've been
has
here.
Not. Yeah, that's right. So they'll continue to fine tune their game, and as I said, I think they're certainly in pole position. For the Saints, well, I just think that's where they're at. I think this is a real indication of where they're at. I think they're going to struggle now with Richmond winning, it looks like, and with 2 tough games to come. And they've got some big decisions to make at the end of the year. Unfortunately, it looks like Dan Hanbury, hopefully, for his sake, it's not the last we've seen of him this year and beyond. That'll be a travesty.
Let's head into the Cats' rooms because they're circling up to sing the song.
We are strong, the greatest team of all. Hey, we are strong. We're always on the ho. We play the game as it should be played. Hey, at home or far away. That's why not from the top down at Kilda Park.
Business as usual down there in the Cats' rooms.
Sick of singing, aren't they?
Absolutely, they are. 16th time they've belted it out this season in the home and away. They win by 45 points. The usual go with the Cats is they'll head into a meeting and sort of swan around in the rooms for a little while before they get us an interview. So Dan Miles is down there. He's been investigative journalist tonight. He's been reporting on about 94 late changes. So Dan will be hard at work to get us some reaction from the Cats' rooms very shortly. Winners by 45 points this evening. The Hanbury point's an interesting one. So subbed out of the game last year of his contract, which was renegotiated last year. 17 games in 4 seasons for Dan Hanbury, and he subbed out today with an ankle injury as opposed to the soft tissue injury. So hopefully for him at least that's some good news. But it hasn't worked out as they've wanted, that particular signing, the Saints, and really a lot of their recruitment that they've gone for hasn't panned out the way that they'd hoped.
No, well, it hasn't taken them from middle of the pack to up to where they want to be. It just hasn't. That's the reality. So they've got some big calls to make. I think on a positive front, I like Windhager. I like seeing them give those guys minutes through the middle of the ground. I think for the next 2 weeks, I'd almost prefer to see them play those guys through the middle of the ground and almost start to facilitate that handover of those senior guys. I mean, Jack Steele, he tries his backside off. He hasn't had the year that he had last year. He's had some injury issues, so it's been a tough year for him as well. Seb Ross is a warrior, but he's over the other edge, over the other side of his best form. Sinclair's had a great year, we know, but Crouch, Hill, Hanbury, and Zach Jones, as you said, it just hasn't quite had the desired effect.
So if we look at the Saints from a list perspective, they've been in the talk around Jordan De Goey. Do you think there'd be a little bit of buyer beware in that situation, given the fact that they've gone for Hanbury and they've gone for Hill and they've brought guys in and it hasn't worked out the way that they want?
I think with De Goey, they'd probably look at it as a step up in terms of talent. I think that they would see, this is my thinking would be that they would see him as that, A to A plus grade talent. Now, whether he is or not, whether he is or not, I mean, you can argue that his record says that he's not yet. We know that he can do it. He hasn't been able to do it consistently, but that would be the thought process behind that he's that level above these guys. Yet these guys are, at their best, are good solid players. De Goey's at another level, and we don't have that, and we haven't been able to attract that. So that would be the thinking behind getting something like that in, I think.
All right, we'll get back to the Saints very shortly. They're an interesting watch, and we'll break down the run home. We'll talk about what's to come, not only this week, but in the weeks ahead as well. The Cats winners by 45 points, 17-8-1-10 to 10-5-65. They're a game clear at the top of the table. They're a happy bunch. Dan Miles has got one of the stars from tonight's performance. Dan.
That's right, Joel. I've got one of the happier players down here in the Geelong rooms because he's fresh off a game with 3 goals to his name and you can't wipe the smile off his face. Isaac Smith, this was a must-win game for the Saints and for you guys. A stern test, you would have thought, going in. What did you think of the match coming into it and how did it all unfold for you?
You can't wipe the smile off my face because I'm 33 and I'm just happy it's over and we've got the 4 points, to be honest. What did we make of it coming in? We were not concerned, but we knew that St Kilda were going to be right up for it. Season on the line type stuff for them. So big game for us down here at GMHBA. It was awesome. The fans sold it out and it was a great atmosphere and they bring their A game early, but fortunately we were able to get on top and get control of the game.
That second half was a real dominant performance. How did it feel out there? Did it feel like you really were running on top of the ground? Because that's sort of what you want to feel heading into finals, I imagine.
I never feel like I'm running on top of the ground too much anymore. But
you're flying over it. What are you talking about?
I think as a team, we got our game going, which was pleasing, and we do know how to play this ground really well, and we've been fortunate to have a few games here of late. So, we're happy that we're up and going, but there's still a long way to go.
3 goals on the board's not bad either.
Actually, I haven't kicked a few multiple goals for a while, so I was playing a bit more up the ground at the start of the year. It's nice to get down there and get a couple of jack-of-the-boxes out of the square.
Absolutely, and perhaps more excitingly was you got given the GoPro in the song. I thought you were very happy about that. That's an honour, I imagine.
Well, I'll tell you the good thing about getting the GoPro is that your head's not on it, so everyone else's head gets on it. So, I don't know if it's an honour, it's a responsibility, I think.
Mate, that's the exact reason I work in radio, to keep my head off a screen. Looking forward, you've got a couple of matches and you're obviously finals bound. What do you need to get out of these next couple going forward to make sure that you're cherry ripe for the big dance, so to speak?
Yeah, I guess from experience, what you want is just hard contested games going into finals, because that's what finals footy is. And if you look at last night, Melbourne and Collingwood, that looked like a prelim final, the energy and the atmosphere and the vigour that both teams were going at the footy. So we've just got to make sure that we keep our standards high. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but we don't want to drop off leading into finals.
Pumping out the cliches just in time for finals, like all good footballers do. Isaac, I'll send you upstairs to the ABC experts. We've got Luke Ball and Karen Peterson upstairs.
Isaac, well done, mate. Professional performance tonight. You mentioned the contest, and I guess you've won 11 in a row and you're in pole position, but your coach has been quite public in saying that you're going to need to improve over the next 6 weeks if you want to win it. And over the last month, the contest has probably been one thing. I think you ranked about 14th in terms of contested footy. So I'd imagine, as you said, that would have been a focus tonight and for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, when they pull boys into meetings about that, I don't get pulled into those contested ones, boys. So,
don't give yourself up, mate. That's it.
I'll just play my role, mate.
Yes, right.
do what you got to do.
That's
but
it.
I guess there's certain elements in our game we want to get better at, but overall, and you never want to be happy with where you're at, but we're pretty pleased with a few of the things we're doing. So it'll be tough for those boys that missed tonight to get back in. They might have to head to Box Hill next week.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, what about the bloke? He's handy. I think number 35, you might be able to find a spot for him. Is he okay? Did he just not feel like a run tonight, or what happened there?
No, I think we had a couple of blokes that had a bit of a test today. So I think they were genuinely laid out. I had no idea of the team when we were running out, to be honest. So, I don't think there was any funny games there at all.
What it does do is give some players an opportunity, and just your even spread tonight. Every player in double-digit possessions, and no real standouts across the game. Parfitt, Zach Guthrie, really like Max Holmes' improvement. So your even contribution across the night stood out tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, that's the most pleasing aspect of our footy this year, I think. We've had, and we still have, some genuine stars in this team, but everyone's bought into really playing their role, and every week I don't think you could say there's a standout in our side, and I'm not sure of all the voting in different...
Who would you give 3 votes to? Give us a hand, mate. It's actually pretty tough.
3
Take
votes
yourself
tonight.
out.
Mate, the worst thing is when you're playing, you've got no idea. I know. I actually thought Zach Guthrie was really good.
Okay, well, we better squeeze him in then, I think, Kez.
We'll take notes. Isaac, it's Karen Peterson up here. Well done on the win tonight. I wanted to ask you, we've been up here the last couple of weeks, and something seems to change with Geelong at halftime. Last week, I think you come out of halftime and kicked 8 straight. against the Dogs, and tonight you've done the same. You've kicked 9 in a row. Is there something that's talked about at halftime, or is it some of the senior guys in the group that are just going, righto boys, let's time to play?
Yeah, probably not a hell of a lot talking about. You know, some look at us as a retirement village, but we say it's experience, which is handy. You sort of, and you'd all know that it takes time to actually work out what the opposition are doing and where you're getting on top in the game and how to execute certain things. So half-time's always a good time for us to take check and see what we need to do differently, and we've been able to do that consistently over a good period of time. But time will tell if we can do it when the whips are actually cracking.
I wanted to ask you as well, I like the game of Zach Tui tonight. So he's a laid in, he's come in, and I actually still can't work out what position he played. I was listening to an interview a couple of weeks ago. One of your assistant coaches was talking about how Mark Blitzarves has the ability and the flexibility, I guess, just to be able to play where he wants. Did Zach Tui have that licence tonight? Because at one point he's leading as a forward, he's picking up the ball at his feet, he's lining up on the wing. I don't know what he was doing.
He's going all right for his age, Zach, but no, I guess it's funny you say that because a lot of my ex-Hawthorn teammates and coaches actually ask if I have a position out there as well. So we must just run around with our heads chopped off. But no, I think what the beauty of it is, we all know the system and our formation, and it doesn't probably matter what position you're playing, it's where you end up a little bit.
Isaac Smith with us on Grandstand AFL. Isaac, it's Jess Webster here. As we know, you've been to the top of the mountain a few times before and played a lot of finals footy. What do you think makes this group so special as we head into September?
Oh, I just think, and I mentioned it before, the selflessness of the group and understanding what you have to do, but not, and you'd all be able to talk on it, and you would have all seen it watching footy over the years, that you don't need to do anything outside of what your role and what your expectations are within the group. So I just think we've got a really nice balance and a really level-headed group here at the moment.
Let's get down to brass tacks, Isaac. It's all positive and winning 11 in a row, but you signed a 2-year contract coming to Geelong. That comes up at the end of the year. Yeah. It was always going to come up. You keen to stick around?
We'll see how we go, mate. I'm getting a bit old. And I'm genuinely feeling the games now. So we'll just see how the season finishes, and we're talking with the club, and we'll just see how it all plays out.
We reckon you've got plenty to still offer, even if you might have squeezed yourself out of the 3, 2 and 1 just with the mention of Zach Guthrie. Who knows?
Oh, Z-Ben, come on.
Isaac, congratulations on the win tonight. The Cats are purring toward the back end of the season, and we're loving watching the way you're going about it. Thanks for your time on Grandstand AFL.
No worries, guys. Have a great night.
Isaac Smith, got a feeling he might have a great night. So after that, a 45-point win for the Cats over the Saints. So they got a 16-4 atop the table, a game clear of Collingwood. If you had said that at the start of the year, you would have got a fair price for your investment, I would have thought. The other game at the Adelaide Oval, 16-11, 107 Richmond to Port Adelaide, 10-10-70. So the Tigers will replace the Saints inside the top 8 at the end of tonight. Noah Cumberland's kicked 2 goals, 2 to continue his recent good form. Tom Lynch has kicked 4 goals, 1. And Shea Bolton's kicked 4 goals, 5. So that's a reasonable night at the office.
He's having some sort of year, isn't he? Yeah, and it could have been even better. Gosh, yeah.
I think
he's a star.
He's going to be right in the All-Australian conversation as well, is Shea Bolton. So 4 goals, 5, and that one's not over. And the Tigers are up by 39 points. So Richmond with Essendon and Hawthorn over the last couple of rounds, not in that order. So Hawthorn and then Essendon. St Kilda have got Geelong and Brisbane and Sydney. And the Western Bulldogs, the other team in the mix, they lost to the Dockers today. So they're a game and a half behind Richmond are the Dogs. And they're just sort of slipping away from them. And probably the fact that they lost so many games at the start of the year is what's going to end up costing the Western Bulldogs. They finished the season with the Giants at home before they head to Hawthorn. That's down in Tassie in round 23 at Launceston. That's the final game.
Yeah, so you'd think that we're probably locked in after. I mean, Richard would need to win one more, you'd think, of one of the last 2 after tonight to hold down that 8th spot, rather.
So the Bulldogs are going to need Richmond to lose both.
Yep.
And to win both. You can see the Bulldogs winning both, GWS and Hawthorn. They should be winning both of those games, even with Hawthorn down in Tassie, and the Hawks can pile it on at times. The Saints, of course, now that they're half a game behind Richmond, need Richmond to lose at least one, and they play Brisbane and Sydney. Kez, can you see them winning either of those, St Kilda?
Short answer, no. No, I can't. They just don't have the depth and the quality just yet to match it with those two teams. I mean, we've seen some inconsistent form up the ladder from a few teams, and at the moment it seems like teams are playing themselves out of finals rather than playing themselves into finals. But no, short answer, I can't see St Kilda getting over those two teams.
So the Saints have let it slip, but again, probably the damage was done before now for St Kilda as well. That stretch from round 13 to 15, losing to Brisbane and Essendon and Sydney, and they lost 5 in 6 at one stage there with Freo and the Dogs. So they had a pretty tough run of it, but they just couldn't make some of those opportunities count. So they'll finish just outside the 8 for another year in a row. You would imagine the Saints and Richmond are now moving into that position. Tomorrow, big game, Carlton and Brisbane.
Huge.
Will be an intriguing contest. 6th and 7th. The Lions stung off that loss last week to Richmond, and the Blues, of course, coming off an absolute shocker. The Carlton of old almost against the Crows last week at the Adelaide Oval. How do you reckon that one shapes up, Kez?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I hope to see a huge response from Carlton. Obviously being around the club this week, there's certainly a feel of disappointment amongst the playing group, and certainly an intention very much to right some of the wrongs that happened last week. So, look, I have no doubt that Vossi will get the boys up and ready for the contest, and I guess it's a matter of which Carlton team show up, because if it's the Carlton of the first half of the year, then that game's really on, and I'd almost back Carlton boys in there. But if they show up anything like what they did last week, then they're in big trouble.
Gee, Brisbane need to respond too. Their last quarter last week was terrible for a side that wants to contend and sees itself as a top 4 team. They need a response from that horror last quarter that they let slip last week.
So North Melbourne and Sydney, the other game, and the Swans are up and firing. They're going really well, the Swans, and then West Coast and Adelaide, and a farewell to Josh Kennedy in that game. So that's where our WA audience will be finishing their day tomorrow afternoon. So if you're in WA, Victoria or Tasmania, you'll be starting with Grandstand AFL Sunday. You can get that on Sport Digital in Darwin as well. And then for our WA and top end audience, you'll be taking North Melbourne and Sydney at Docklands. Victoria and Tasmania, you'll be with the Footy Forum with Clint Wheeldon, Mark Duffield and Jake Nile. Brisbane and Carlton then for our audience in Victoria, Tassie and the Territory. If you're in the top end, you'll be leaving that game around half time to head to West Coast and Adelaide, which is WA and SA later in the day. We'll get the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year very shortly. Before that, let's go to Ned Hall, who's got more action on the Commonwealth Games and another gold on another great night for Australia. Ned.
Well, it's been an incredible golden night for Australia. 5 gold medals in the early session of competition at the Commonwealth Games. Most recently, Ollie Hoare sensationally winning the men's 1,500 metres final on the line from the Kenyan Timothy Cheruiyot, and also beating home the Scotsman Whiteman, who just won the World Championship as well. Ollie Hoare set a games record as well. An incredible run from him to win on the line. One of the 5 gold medals. The other came on the track as well from Jemima Montag. She came home by a long way clear of the rest of the field in the women's 10K walk. Rebecca Henderson was 4th and Katie Hayward was in 10th place. The women's pairs bowlers also took out gold in very dramatic fashion against England. With the final ball of the final leg, Ellen Ryan drove the English ball out of the way to complete a 1918 victory for Australia. In the rhythmic gymnastics, Alexandra Kiroi Bogatreva, she won the club's final to win the gold medal there. And in the women's 3-metre synchronised springboard diving final, Madison Keeney and Annabelle Smith took out the gold medal in that event as well. So 5 gold medals for Australia and a silver for Eleanor Patterson in the women's high jump final. She'll be disappointed having just won the World Championship, but she failed at 1.95 m and had to settle for the silver medal there. Plenty of success elsewhere in the table tennis. Lawn bowls for Aaron Wilson in the semi-finals. He's through to the final now of that event as well. And still to come later on this evening, the Diamonds in the netball. They go to see if they can make it to the final of the netball, taking on England. If they win, they'll get through to take on Jamaica, who beat them in the final group match. Jamaica smashed New Zealand 67 goals to 51. Reminder, overnight tonight, it's the semi-finals of the cricket. Australia taking on New Zealand. And in the early hours tomorrow morning, in the hockey, the Kookaburras are up against England for a place in the final. That's the latest from the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
Absolute superstar Ned Hall, thank you. Another golden night for the Aussies. Ollie Hall, games record, gold medal in the 1500. Absolutely amazing. Outstanding stuff. Outstanding. And that just happened moments ago, as Ned told you. Kieran Peterson's got the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Kez, did you take your lead from Isaac Smith?
No, I didn't, and I'll tell you why in a second. I do want to give some apologies to both of the Guthrie boys. Isaac Smith thought that Zach should get in, and he was close, but he just fell short tonight. The even spread of Geelong players made this actually a little bit of a challenge. So couldn't find a vote for St Kilda either. When you lose by, what did they lose by?
45.
45, you're not going to get in the vote. So I've actually given one vote to Isaac Smith himself. Thought he was terrific. He had 21 touches. He's had 3 goals himself, and he's had 490 metres gained, which is not bad for an old guy by his own admission. So, no, he was terrific tonight. I've given 2 votes to a young guy who both Bally and I were very impressed by tonight, Max Holmes. He had 24 touches. He had 10 contested possessions. He had 6 scoring involvements. He had 530-odd metres gained, and he kicked a goal himself. So I thought he was terrific, and he's just gotten better and better as the season's gone on. Very exciting, the future for that young guy. I think he signed a 2-year deal quite recently, so I thought he was fantastic. And I've given 3 votes to Sam Menengola, who was a laid in, and he just played a really great balanced game. He had 25 touches at 65% kicking efficiency. 17 of those were uncontested, but that was because he was setting up so beautifully behind the ball and was really being a bit of a slingshot and a launching pad for the Cats off the half-back line. He had 10 score involvements himself, 450-odd metres gained, and he kicked a goal. Done well.
Thanks, Kez. So Menengola, Holmes, Smith, the 3-2-1 in the ABC Footballer of the Year. The Cats winners by 45 here. And at the Adelaide Oval, Richmond run-out winners. They replaced the Saints inside the 8, 16-13, 109 to the Power, 10-11, 71. Thanks to Luke Bald and to Kieran Peterson. Thanks to Dan Miles on the boundary. To Jess Webster here, who will be part of our team at Docklands tomorrow for North Melbourne and Sydney. Plenty more footy to come across the course of your weekend. Grandstand AFL Sunday to kick it off tomorrow. The Brews and the Swans, Brisbane and Carlton. It all finishes with West Coast and Adelaide. A big round 21. The Cats big winners. They're a game clear atop the table. They win by 47.
We come in on a crowded train or park our car in mud. Us kids play car park kick to kick in our team colours that we love. Records! Records! This time I'll buy my own. And I can see the ball this year, cause that's how much I've grown. We're in the queue, we're through the gates and enter hallowed ground. I sit up tall and I can't wait to hear that siren sound. The AFL Final Series with ABC Sport starts September.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
In case you missed it.
Boundary throw in, oh, that's perfect. Just Darcy Cameron straight down to DeGoey. And DeGoey snares the first. Jamie Elliott to make it 5 for the Pies. What an explosive start we've had between these 2 top 4 teams.
Oh, you can't do that.
Cox has just risen his knee and almost gone straight in the hip or upper thigh, and that is an unsavoury action from Mason Cox. Gives away the free kick. Carmichael, his kick smothered. Ricochets to Myercheck. Through traffic. Swings it on his boot and swings it through for a goal. Noble between wing and half forward. Kicks inside the front 50. Hands on it for Hibbert. Spills down to Johnson. Hurried snap, and he's put it through.
Spills out to Ginnivan. Off to DeGoey. Top of the goal square, going back with the flight. How brave was that mark by Myercheck? Myercheck for his second. Top of the goal square. Guides it through.
He's kicked 3 already in his milestone night. Jamie Elliott, final quarter goals. That's his thing. Ash Johnson will kick it from 40 metres out. They've hung around all night. Now for the lead.
Johnson's got it.
Oh, Ben Brown was caught there in a 2-on-2 contest. He ran into his own teammate. Meanwhile, the Pies have got it. It comes the way of Nick Dacos. Gives it to Josh. They've got Dacos running through their DNA.
Collingwood to take back the lead in a seesawing final term. Johnson has docked it. You've got to play the minutes to beat them.
They win it by 7. It's 11 straight for the Collingwood Football Club. They're fast, they're frenetic, they're bloody fabulous, this team.
Oh, the premiership's a cake for the good old Collingwood.
Apologies. Cameron Ling is part of our broadcast team last night. This is the lead with Matt Klitsch, Adam Ramanauskas and Cameron Ling. They are the type of side that you find yourselves just quietly enjoying and even humming along when they are victorious in the way they were.
Well, I did tip Melbourne before the game. Corbin allowed me the opportunity to back out of that at three-quarter time, and I still went with Melbourne tip. And, yes, Cal and Corbs just challenged me at the end to sing along with the song as we were finishing up last night. To all of our listeners out there, I'm very, very sorry. You do not need to hear that on your radio.
Well, one man who played a pivotal part in it was Darcy Moore, the Magpies defender. He's been good enough to join us on the lead. Darcy, welcome. Thanks for your time. You've done it again. How do you keep doing it?
Thanks for having me. And I don't know what's a better achievement, 11 in a row or getting Cameron Ling Geelong champion to sing good old Collingwood forever. I'll take that as our best achievement of the year.
What about the closing stages of last night? It felt like it was a finals atmosphere, 70,000 in the house, and once more you came from behind and the belief and confidence in the group to be able to execute in some of those clutch moments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've just ticked them off this year, haven't we? There's been sort of probably 5 or 6 games that have really felt like a finals-like atmosphere with 70, 80, 90,000 fans there and the game on the line. So that's such valuable experience for us, and it really looks like it, didn't it? Those dying stages, those last 5 or 6 minutes, we just looked calm and composed, and the guys were able to kind of shut the game down and hold on to the lead, which is super valuable going into September.
Well, Daz, congratulations on the game. It was a brilliant game to watch. The atmosphere was magnificent. The pressure, everything was fantastic. The second quarter, though, just to go back to that versus the second half, Melbourne had the game on their terms in that second quarter, and no doubt you would have felt under the pump. The clearances were 16-3 Melbourne's way and everything like that. How did the